All right. Hello, everybody. And there we are. Let's see, is the stuff going there? How you doing, Mac?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
You know, it has been a long day. We didn't talk much about it because, like, right when you got here, I just gotten out of the shower and everything else.
Indeed.
I spent most of the day at the food pantry warehouse again, you know, loading boxes and bags and packing food and all that for everyone. But I don't know, it's tiring me out. It is definitely back-breaking warehouse work that I'm not used to. But I am enjoying getting it done. It feels good doing it, so like I don't want to stop. My hours are almost done for my community service. I might even finish them tomorrow. If not, it'll be Monday. But I've already told them I'm not gonna stop coming.
Sure.
So there's that going on right now, and of course a bunch of ACAB sentiment all over the country and world, as there should be.
Indeed.
There is Trump, there is Weinstein, there is net neutrality. There are a million things going on right now. We're going to start with kind of our normal standard fare before we head on down the college campus route, which we'll talk about for a while, I'm sure.
Indeed.
So how's it going? Chat can hear us all. Things are good. Tech is fine. Cameras are right. Lighting's good. All the fun stuff.
Let's see how we doing.
Whew.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they can hear us. We're sitting here talking and no one's complaining, you know? There we go. All right, got to refresh some of the screens over here. All right, hey, the YouTube stream actually worked for some reason. It's a miracle. And yeah, Matthew, we are streaming during the draft. You know, I was thinking about pushing to tomorrow, but for many reasons, it ain't happening. I do have the draft up on the top of that screen. I'm sure you guys might remember from some of the pictures of my setup, but I've got a 40-inch screen here, and then in vertical mode, I've got a 40-inch here right next to it. So way up here, just barely in my view, the draft is going on right now. So I do still get to, you know, see what's going on there. Because I am indeed, as was stated, a sports ball guy. So I'm at the nonprofit, and I'm there for maybe 3 days, right? And the guy who runs, like, they have 3 sections in this nonprofit. One is doing major deliveries to, like, old folks' homes, to people's houses. They've got delivery drivers, you know, volunteers who just show up and load up their vehicles and drive off with a list of addresses. And then they've got, like, a big truck that shows up and takes, like, 60 boxes of food, you know, and, like, 3 pallets of food that we make. And takes them all away. And there's, like, that section, right? And that section belongs to one guy. And then there's this section in the middle of the building. There's not really any separation, though. Like, all their stuff is just touching each other and, like, right up against each other. And in the middle, they're kind of building out bags of food for the people who show up the couple times a week where they have an open door and they build a line of people and they just, you know, hand them their food for the week, right? Mm-hmm. And there's that kind of section. And when food comes in to get delivered into the place for, like, us all to then package up and hand out, right? It comes marked for a specific one of these people. So some of the interesting stuff that's going on is, like, I'll be down in one of the sections and we'll be doing work and we'll run out of a specific thing. And then the guy who runs that section or the woman who runs that section will look around, kind of conspiratorial. I don't see him in the building right now. Go grab him from his section. And then they'll tell us when everyone's listening, don't ever take stuff from the other sections. But they're all doing it. But this week, an interesting thing happened, like, the whole time. Because, like, on my second day, the guy who runs one of the sections had to leave. And there's all these people there. We had, like, 30 people in the building. He gets up on an actual milk crate. Like, he sets one on the floor, stands on it, so he's above everyone in the whole building, calls them all over, and then says, I'm going to be gone for the rest of the day. I just told Greg what needs to get done. He's in charge. If any of you mess up, he's the one sending you home. And then he walked out the door. I had been in this building all of a combined like 12 hours, and most of it, I still had no clue where half of the stuff was that he said to do. And so I'm sitting there, and I figured it out throughout the day, but like everyone else, I was very clear with them, like, hey, I think this is all of your first days. This is my second day. So I guess that's how it goes around here. And they're like, well, you know where things are. Where's the bathroom? And I was like, oh, I know where that is. Yeah, okay. I guess I can tell you guys what to do. But like, it was freaking crazy. So then he pulls me aside the next day and says, hey, I'm out of town all next week. I've got my vacation coming up. But on Wednesday, a corporate group is showing up. And I guess they get some kind of bonuses at their job for like also doing hours of work in some kind of, community service fashion. And so this corporate group showed up, right? And he doesn't tell me who they are, what corporation they're from or anything. He says, but on Wednesday, you need to show up early and start your hours at like 9, get the place prepped, and then they're going to show up around like noon, and you're going to tell them what to do all day. You got this. And then he left without telling me what I'm supposed to actually be having them do. So that's just kind of how a lot of nonprofits run, but it's always like interesting to see how it's actually like how it's done in reality when you're the one it's being done kind of too, right?
Yeah.
So they show up yesterday, and we've got the place ready for them to do some work. And I figured out some like tasks to do. One of the bigger problems was the day before someone cleared out and did most of the work. So like there was very little packing to do. So we kind of came up with, other cleaning work, other work in some of the other sections. Like we figured it out, and we had them, do a good 5 hours. But they show up and I can tell that we can all see each other. Like, you'll get it. But like, and I start talking to them, and they're the like heads of the IT departments for the Department of Revenue, the Secretary's office, which means they actually run IT for like the governor's office, the House. So like the representatives, everything. Like these are the IT people that run their data center, like all that type shit. It's like that team.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I'm running you guys today. And then one of them says, hey, afterward, we're going out for drinks and everything. Come along. It's on us. and so I took the person who looked like their manager, like the one who was the highest ranking in this group,
Sure.
to the side. And I just said, I'm happy to go out with you guys afterward, but I want to make it clear that like you've been on the other side of things I've done. And so are we cool? And she thought about it for a second. She looked a few things up online and said, yeah, we're fine. You can come along. But like, she was very happy that I was like, hey,
just to be clear here.
felony hacker here. Are any of your jobs, are you going to get looked at funny if some hack comes in next week because you had dinner with me, So I at least gave them the opportunity not to like have it look weird. They all invited me out, and then I learned, which ones were the good guys, which ones were the bad guys. It was fun. I actually enjoyed hanging out with them all. I did get the "you're too smart to be so poor" talk from multiple of them, and a few of them saying, "You could be doing my job better than me. Why am I even doing my job?" And I'm like, yeah, hey, I mean...
Look, I'm not the one doing your job. Why are you asking me?
Yeah,
if I thought it was worth doing, I'd be doing it, wouldn't I?
Right? Like... So it was entertaining. It was entertaining. I enjoyed the company of all those people. It was fun. But like, it's just weird at the nonprofit house. Suddenly, like literally day 2, I'm now in charge for half the day. And then like Wednesday, like I show up. Luckily, someone who had been going there for like months showed up like midday and also kind of helped run things, because like he was making sure everyone knew I was in charge, because he didn't want to be, because he's just like, he's there to just get shit done, and he doesn't want anyone asking him questions or bothering him. But he was letting me bother him about, okay, I don't know where this thing actually is, like, because there's just boxes of food everywhere.
Sure.
There's like, and they set them down where the open space is. So like the lentils or the peas or something might be on the other side of the building behind another crate of things when they were right here yesterday.
Sure.
And so like...
That sounds like every food pantry I've worked in.
So having him around was very helpful.
Yeah, you definitely need someone around that's been there for preferably a minimum of months, but ideally years.
Right.
Because there will be things that no one that hasn't been there for years like knows even exist.
So one of the management types there found out that I know how to use computers, and came over and said, "We have an ID printer that we haven't had working in months, and we don't know why. Can you fix this?" And I was like, I could probably fix it. I'll go do that instead of lifting boxes for an hour. And I think I got it working, but by the time I think I got it working, he had left. I have no access to their network shares. And the file I needed to open to test print one is somewhere on a network share, but it's on a weird IP space that it's not like on, 192 or any of the others that you're like used to local. It's on an actual like routable IP. It looks like from the share that isn't mounting because I don't have a password. And so I need him to come back. Someone says, oh, no one currently here has his phone number. None of the managers are in. So maybe he'll be there tomorrow. I don't know. But I think I got it working. And then that turned into the director of the whole thing showing up and asking me, hey, you do all the tech stuff? Here's my card. Email me because like we could use more tech help. Like website stuff and database stuff. And I said websites, servers, databases, whatever. I still want to be doing the boxes and stuff though. And she's like, yeah, you can do both. I was like, oh, okay, great, cool. And it was someone my wife actually knew and everything. So I got to, tell them both and then tell them they said hi and all that. So that was nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Someone, the Malden Neighbors Helping Neighbors mutual aid group that, and I helped get going and everything. And run for a while and did like full time for a while actually. Like this pantry provided materials and helped us with some of the food stuff and kind of coordination things for a little bit, and it was really nice of them.
Yeah.
So I'm also glad I get to give back to them because of that too.
Definitely.
That's pretty cool. Whew. Health-wise, the doctors were correct. I told you like last week ago, something like that they thought like there was a lot of stuff building up in my lungs and that was going to be causing me serious problems and it might lead to the need for like other things. There's treatments. They can be drugs. They can be going in for like daily injections for like a month. They can be a surgery. There's lots of things they can do. But I was thinking, well, I just had that surgery. I have the polyp in my nasal. Like, I think it's just a bunch of mucus building up because it's like coming from my nose, right? And that's why I'm coughing it up. And they were like, it could be both. So, just try and figure out where it came from. And I'm like, this is all super disgusting. And I don't want any part of this, but I also want it to stop. It is coming up from my lungs. I've been trying to pay attention. And in paying attention, I can tell very clearly that almost all of it's coming up from my lungs. So that sucks.
Yeah.
So now that I'm very I thought yesterday I was there and I told some people I think I'm going to reach out to the doctor. After today, I know damn well it is coming from my lungs. And so I am reaching out to the doctor tomorrow and just telling them, hey, we don't have to wait for the follow-up in 2 months or so. I know now. It's what do you want to do? Because it's getting worse daily. I mean, I don't think it's I'm going to die from, I don't have when you see things in movies or TV, they talk about there's liquid or blood building up in the lungs. We've got to, it's not that.
Yeah.
But it is still not good. It's in between there and good, but it's closer to bad. So they do want to deal with it.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's one of the 5 things you would get if you're in prison long enough,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. So let's get on to covering some fun things. All right, chat. Let's talk about, well, yeah. Get back to the prison thing. Yeah, I thought that was where we were going. The only funny story I have from tuberculosis and scabies at prison, what a way to start a story.
Yep.
Is I don't know if the few of you who have met me, but on stream, I don't know if you can tell, but I have very long arms. And I'm only 6'1", but my arms are the arms of someone who's 6'3". It's just that little extra, right? Which means in cuffs, I can get it under my butt and then get my legs through and stand back up and now have the cuffs on the front if they're on back, if I choose to. And I have to wiggle a little, but I can do it. And it doesn't leave big marks or anything. And I'm in prison. I'm sitting there. And at this point, they've locked down General Pop. So we're all back in our cells. And they've told us that today the doctor's coming to do the TB test, give us our vaccine for that, give us all or check, and then possibly give us tetanus shots, and also check for scabies. And so all that's going on like all at once. So they line us up against like the walls, and we just kind of go like this through the sections, and then there's the doctor's office over here, and they've got a separate doctor's office for us because we were at an FMC. Devon's is a federal medical center, so it's not only a place for all the bad guys in their eyes, but it's also a hospital. And so they could have taken us over there, but like the hospital is already well overrun with shit. So they have this little doctor's office.
Right.
And they have us lined up against the wall. One goes in, is in there for a few minutes, comes out, right? Some people are in there for 10 minutes. This is going to take all day. So I was in line for 7 hours before I finally got to the door.
Oh.
And I'm standing, and there's guards making sure you're standing. Like they're telling you, keep standing. And because the doctor isn't like, the doctor's kind of skittish, does not, like being here.
Yeah.
And so I go in, and it's my turn. They shut the door behind me, and the doctor's there, and the doctor looks at me and asks me some questions, standard medical stuff. Have you ever had this? Have you ever gotten this shot recently? All that stuff, right? And he turns around to start loading up a syringe and kind of dealing with some stuff on a table. Power goes out. A little alarm fires, and then the floodlights come on outside, but no light in this little room comes on. So we're in pitch darkness. I have now had my hands behind my back for 7 fucking hours, and I'm done with this. So while the lights are out, I put my hands in front because I needed to like be able to like deal with my wrists and kind of get it. I had no plans on doing anything. It's me. What am I going to do? But the lights pop back on, and he turns around and sees me now with suddenly my hands in front, and I guess in the angle also. He couldn't see that like the cuffs were still on either. Like just like because the light had just come on, his eyes were like for a second adjusting, right. And he screams. The guard comes in, like it was a whole thing. I got in trouble for that one, but that is my only tuberculosis related story from prison. I was there to get the shot, and I did that, and I think I gave the man a heart attack. I didn't think I did anything too horrible. It's not like I actually took the cuffs off or anything. They were loose enough. I probably could have. Right? Oh. So we're going to go through some just kind of normal stuff. We normally talk about all the same fun topics, everything from tech to news to da-da-da, before we get into some of the heavier topics, kind of our standard flow. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, which I just found funny, is this. We had the Humane AI pin come out and get reviewed to hell and back, over the last couple of weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And supposedly, again, Marcus Brownlee, MKBHD, puts out his review of the worst product he's ever tried. And, and everyone's claiming, oh, you killed another product, just like the car that he supposedly killed, the Fisker Ocean, right? And everyone's just like, oh boy, the Rabbit R1's coming in a week or two. What's everyone going to say about that? And we're getting from these is like, actually, not bad. Already more fun and accessible than the Humane AI pin. All the reviews so far that I've seen are like, I might use this device actually, instead of what the hell is this thing they expect me to put on myself. So the Rabbit R1 could be good. I am waiting for Marquez's, review, obviously, as the tech reviewer who makes or breaks a product at this point. I just want to see his take on this one and see if he has become, some kind of evil product destroyer and destroys this one, even though everyone else is saying it's all right. There are some review videos of it up already where it's like doing things and getting asked to complete tasks, and it does a decent job of it. Its response times are, 2 seconds, not 5. And, while 2 seconds is still not instantaneous, it feels a fuck ton different than 5 seconds.
True that.
So who knows? I mean, anyone I know who might have gotten the R1, that thing looks pretty cool. Doesn't have a subscription. It's $199 instead of $700.
I don't know. I'm still not really sold on the entire model of like that being a thing, but it certainly seems better than the alternatives in that regard I've seen.
I like the idea of being able to have a device that isn't my phone that I can ask to do things as a separate thing. Because sometimes I'll pull out my phone and then I'll do 5 or 6 different things when I was pulling it out for one task. With this, I figure I'm pulling it out for a task. I'm going to use it for that task. It doesn't have the 5 other apps that were distracting me and all those notifications. So I do like the idea. I don't know if I like it like in use. I don't have one, but I like the idea of having a device that I'm going to pull up, tell to do a thing, and then be able to walk away. One of the good demos on YouTube of it, someone points it at a screen that's got a bunch of text on it and says, "Can you summarize that?" And then just points it at it and then, walks off while it's reading in like a 1-paragraph summary of the like 10 paragraphs that were on the screen, because it used vision and then OCR and everything else to read the thing and then summarize it. Mm-hmm. And like stuff like that. Like, I think that's pretty neat. Like you see a giant document, I don't want to read that whole thing, pointed at it, summarize that for me. And it gives you 2 sentences and you walk off,
I feel like I'm not so distractible by my phone that like I'll get distracted by it unless I'm like, oh, like I would be looking for something to do here anyway.
Did you hear that, chat? Did you hear it? I heard it. Mac's better than all of us.
I don't. I mean, I guess some people. I know some people are easily distracted by the feature of their phone.
Look, every flashing light distracts me. All right,
that's fair.
Everything distracts me.
I just like I don't get that attached to like doing stuff on my phone unless like I have a reason to be doing stuff on my phone in the first place, and then I'm done.
And I pull it up, it's got a notification. I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, Duolingo says I'm going to lose my streak. Oh, this happened.
I see
it.
I just see notifications. I get annoyed. I'm just like, no, go away.
So how about this one? So for months now, back in January, a recording of a principal at a Baltimore school came out, having him saying all kinds of racist stuff. It had him, let's see, quote, "It should be noted that comments in the recording spoke to Eiswert's, the principal, alleged frustrations with test scores of African-American students and assertions that they, the African-American students, were unable to test their way out of a paper bag." It then went on to say, the recording went on to make disparaging comments about Jewish individuals on two teachers who should have never been hired. It supposedly was the principal talking to an assistant principal. And this went wide. He got suspended. Teachers and students went nuts on it. Turns out one of the athletics coaches was about to get fired and was mad about it. And AI faked the principal's voice and made this recording. And the only reason he's in cuffs right now, one, after the FBI and then a college both independently verified it was an AI recording, is he was trying to flee and he had a ticket out and he was at the airport and he was going through BWI. He had a declared gun and the right to have the gun in his luggage, but it was packed wrong. And you've got to pack those things very specifically, like it can't be loaded, the ammo's got to be in a separate case.
Yep.
There's all these rules about traveling with a firearm, right?
Yeah.
And it was packed wrong, and obviously he was in a rush. So they stopped him because it was packed wrong, and when they have you fix a packed wrong firearm, they also have to run a background check. And during the background check, they found the warrant. But if he hadn't packed his gun wrong, he would have been on that plane and gone. So literally in his rush to bring his firearm with him, like on the flight, yay. I mean, it goes into storage. You can't bring it in carry-on. They aren't that dumb.
But still, he was trying to fly somewhere else, and he wanted to make sure he had a gun.
So, so he's screwed.
Yeah, that's probably going to look bad to the jury.
Yeah. Whew. I mean, we knew this was coming. People trying to frame bosses with AI recordings is just going to be one of the next pieces of this.
Sure, although I expected us to get a story at some sort of much higher level of like malfeasance than this sort of like petty like part of a school district thing.
Oh yeah, totally. I didn't expect this to be the first one of these
Yeah.
where I read about an actual arrest.
Yeah. I expected 10 years from now we'd be hearing about,
The
one of
petty
these
level of
every
it.
week.
Yeah, yeah.
But I figured the first few times it hit the news, it would probably be
The speed
Fortune
at which
100 or something?
the speed at which this is becoming usable and the speed at which it is becoming so user friendly that your standard high school football coach, who I'm sorry, they're good at football. I don't know that they're the best at technology usually, right?
yeah, there's a distinct tendency for
There's
them not
usually
to
a
be.
difference between those two groups of people. Some are, hey, maybe they're out there, but I'm just saying, usually you can assume that the football coach at a high school is not your tech programmer bro who's sitting there with Python on a command prompt, right? We're now at a point, though, where you don't have to be. You can be that non-tech bro football coach and fake someone's voice because tools like 11 Labs and all those others.
That being said, I did know someone who was a phys ed teacher and health teacher and was the baseball coach for his school, but his actual degree was a bachelor's in mathematics.
Totally fair. Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't trying to be rude there. I just
Yeah,
remembered the
no.
ones from, the schools
Definitely. No, I definitely agree. It is not typical.
There's not usually an overlap there
Every once in
between-
a while, you run into that person.
Right. And then, of course, this. The FCC voted to restore net neutrality. And the thing that's interesting to me, honestly, about this isn't that they voted to restore net neutrality. It's that in a lot of the sectors where I would expect people to be talking about this all day today, like what a big win it is and everything else, all those people are distracted by other things way bigger than this. So barely anyone I know is even talking about this when I would have expected a lot of people to be talking about this. But again, this is a long party lines vote. So another Republican president comes in, replaces people at the FCC, and it'll probably go right back.
Yep.
I would expect at some point these companies are going to actually be losing more money because of the amount of work they have to do to switch between the two methods, that they're just going to accept one of the sides and stop fighting it. Because they've done that before on massive regulation where they've given into the regulation they didn't want because the whiplash of the back and forth was actually way more expensive than just giving.
Does tend to take them a little while to acknowledge that fact, though.
But yay, net neutrality's back. So, hey,
Yeah.
Microsoft have open sourced MS-DOS 4.0. This
Timely.
is assembly code from 45 years ago. And I mean, I don't know that there's much value to it, but I really like the idea that they're doing this.
Yeah.
They did 1.25 and 2 10 years ago. And they did reference stuff, but this is the actual MS-DOS 4.0 source code here with all the instructions for it. And all the code, the source code right here. I mean, you can look at boot, command, dev, over here in DOS, good old abort.asm. It's just straight assembly. It's commented well for anyone who wants to, play around with assembly. But yeah, obviously, I mean, the source code that we want already leaked illegally long ago. The DOS 622 source, right? I mean, obviously, the only DOS source codes we want are 3 and 622, right? I guess there could be someone who wants one of the 5 lines, but yeah, no. 4 was a horrible version of DOS. It was definitely not anything. I mean, literally, it was to be skipped. But it is funny and it is neat, and there's a bunch of code there to go looking through. Look at this. This library was created in March of '83. That's just crazy. And then we've got Gary's Mod news. Nintendo has sent copyright takedown requests finally to Gary's Mod after decades of...
What is Nintendo even doing? They used to be on this sort of thing. And what's even the point now?
there are just decades of stuff on Gary's mod from
Yeah.
Nintendo. Like, there are games where you can like run around in like Hyrule and just do shit as like Link and whatnot.
If I had heard about this news story in like 2015, I'd been like, man, Nintendo was way off their game.
Right? But I mean, Nintendo's game honestly right now is copyright takedowns, DMCA's. I mean, they are lawyer happy.
I mean, Nintendo's game is selling more consoles than absolutely anyone and not caring. But then, like their recreation is DMCA's.
Yeah. But Gary Newman from Gary's Mod actually said, quote, honestly, this is fair enough. This is Nintendo's content, and what they allow and don't allow is up to them. They don't want you playing with that stuff in Gary's Mod. That's their decision. We have to respect it and take down as much as we can. This is an ongoing process as we have 20 years of uploads to go through. So it's going to take them a little bit to get rid of all the stuff. I would say if there's anything on there that you liked, like the Super Mario 64 first-person shooter, go get it now before it's taken down. Because they are going through and ripping it all out. I understand too. I get it, but like if Nintendo was gonna be mad about this one, they should have been mad 20 years ago.
Seriously.
Like, are they that out of it that they didn't even know this was a thing until now?
Right?
Because Gary's Mod has had like 2 renaissances on YouTube as like the thing,
and it's still so
Skibidi
far past its
Toilet
peak.
gets more views than anything other than Mr. Beast in the entire world, and it's nothing but Gary's Mod. And they just didn't like know. No. They knew, just for some reason decided to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. So this looks interesting to me. Skibidi Toilet is a cult, and also if you watch every single one of them, there's a really good cohesive storyline there and a really deep world with tons of returning characters and personality. And you don't believe that just looking at the first few and like, or looking at it from the outside. But honestly, if you actually try, there's a lot to it. Like, the guy is telling a real story with real characters, and like, it's, I love it. I don't know. I might be stupid, but I love it. So this group, there are these old badges, these things right here that you see in the front view, back view. If I put that screen up now, I think that's this one. Yeah, there we go. This is the first one with like a picture I want to show you. Let's actually get the things set up right. Maybe. Hey, okay, sure, cookies, whatever. Yeah, I like those. Don't I? These little comm badges right here were made for hospital use like 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
Cheap
those.
little comm badges that they could use that had a proprietary server where you could press it and then talk to anyone else you needed to talk to if they picked up and all that. Pretty neat little thing. But without the proprietary backend server, which is gone and never to be resurrected again, these things are useless. You can get these little comm badges on eBay for like $25. And an open source group now called the Comm Badge Project have actually built out a server for these called Spin Doctor. And right now, the server allows you to connect them all and to assign users to them so it knows who they are, allows you to do some basic communication. But now that they control the server and all the audio going in and out of the comm badges themselves, they're going to start adding in a bunch more stuff like automatic transcription of conversations if you want it doing that type of stuff, searching like LLM stuff. But it's all going to be an open source server project and these $25 little comm badges. And I think that's freaking awesome. Good old Avaya stuff. Yep. And of course, today we all learned that the Crypto Mixer Samurai has the founders arrested, servers taken, and all the other fun stuff. The Department of Justice is saying that the people behind this crypto mixer knew that that their system was being used for laundering illegal money. Not that they had just built this because they were privacy enthusiasts in the crypto space, which there are a lot of honest privacy enthusiasts in the crypto space who would prefer their tool isn't just straight up used for crime, right? But these ones, you know, at first you're like, fuck you for arresting these people. But actually, they were like going on Twitter and asking like, hey, Russian oligarch, and just like tweeting at them, you know, you could actually play around with crypto if you used our mixer. So they were like courting sanctioned people.
Wow.
They were going specifically to dark markets and helping them integrate. They had built this ricochet system, which was a way of sending exclusive transaction type called ricochet send that made it possible to add intermediate hops when sending cryptocurrency from one address to another. So it would actually it would control other addresses, and you would hop between those addresses instead of just like going, you know, getting your standard transactions through the network. It would actually go into other wallets, and like this ricochet send thing that also was then going back through the mixer. So like it was really like good luck tracking that. But they don't need to track it because they just arrested the motherfuckers. Right. That was their thing. They just literally went and got them. Now, I had this thing where I want mixers like this to exist. I think there are times when there are things you need to get done. Let's say, I don't know, during the current uprisings that are going on, you might want to do some stuff online, and you might want a VPN to do it through, and you might not want that associated with you. So maybe you want to send some crypto to someone like Mulvad. And then something like this was perfect for that. These keep going down. I mean, remember Tornado Cash and all the others like this, they just keep going down. Samurai ran, the mixer called Whiplash for anyone wondering. But yeah, there we go. Another crypto mixer down, a wallet down. People are, of course, telling everyone online, you know, get your stuff out of that wallet if you got the wallet, get it moved to other things. Da, 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 da. Then we've got this from today. So at the Trump trial, good old David Pecker announced, he was asked about, you know, killing the Trump story. Yeah. Did he kill others for other stars? And he was like, oh yeah, totally. This is the thing I did. And then he named names. He just went straight for it. I mean, at this point, he's sitting on an immunity deal that just covers everything, and he just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
But he said that included Tiger Woods, who cut a deal to avoid unsavory photos being published, and Mark Wahlberg, who did the same to cover up a story about an argument he got into with his wife. I would say if there's photos of an argument you had with your wife that you really don't want out, you might have gone too far. Mark
Wahlberg might have done something bad.
It's
who could have foreseen this?
He added that he also struck an agreement with Arnold Schwarzenegger to bury negative stories about him as he campaigned to be governor of California, something he said he agreed to in exchange for something Schwarzenegger described as, quote, giant acquisition. In keeping the governor-to-be's records clean, Pecker testified that he dealt with 30 or 40 women who came forward with stories about Schwarzenegger. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear him just keep naming names. Who else paid to keep the stories buried?
His from what I've seen, which I'm not like I haven't been keeping up with like the daily transcripts in the case or anything, but from what I've seen about his testimony, it seems like that was some very interesting testimony in general. There were a couple stories about that.
Oh yeah, totally. And then, of course, this, news today, Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction overturned. And the thing that kills me the most about this is the reason, and it's stated here pretty early up in it. Yeah, the New York Court of Appeals said prosecutors in the pivotal Me Too case called witnesses whose accusations were not part of the charges against him. The court said that meant he was unfairly tried for past behaviors. If the past behaviors are the same behavior, then they speak to a pattern.
Yeah.
How is that unfair?
Yeah.
What? They didn't say they were lies. They didn't say it was false testimony. They didn't say perjury. No. They aren't arguing that it wasn't the truth.
Yeah,
they're just saying it's unfair.
It doesn't seem like they're even. They don't seem to have any sort of like basis for justifying the claim that he was actually being like found guilty for his past behavior, as opposed to jurors being convinced that he had a pattern of that behavior, which made the claims against him more likely. And, sure, that's circumstantial evidence, but like circumstantial evidence in some cases can be a thing that's part of jury's considerations. It's just
absolutely
not like the sole thing. And nothing about this case makes that seem like that was the sole thing.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And when you look at the absolute worst thing to come from this is going to be the fact that victims are going to have to go back on the stand, tell their stories again, relive all of this. They are getting re-victimized by this overturn. Unbelievable. And yet believable.
Yeah, sadly believable.
I just don't know what to do about it, you know?
Yeah, it's true. The law doesn't make a differentiation between circumstantial and direct evidence, but like legal theory does.
Yes, and that's a good point to be made in the chat there. Thank goodness for California, right? Because he's still awaiting 16 years in California, too, that he was already tried for and convicted of. And there are multiple other, convictions to hold him down. It's not like this gets him a free pass off of everything. It just might lighten the load a little.
Yeah.
And hopefully he goes back to trial and is found guilty again, like he should be. We will have to wait and see on that one. For the moment, though, I need more to drink. You might have seen I already went through this full thing, so yay hydration. But spending my days in a dusty warehouse is killing me. And then all my other issues with my lungs and my throat and all that. Add it all together, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I spent much more time talking today than I usually do. So I know what you mean.
Right? I have no idea if I can be heard on mic way over here because that's such a good directional mic that's pointed right at me.
Yeah, they probably can't hear you.
Oh, there we go, chat. All right. Get comfortable here. Whew. Okay. How is the draft going? All right. There we go. Well, learned all I need to know about the draft. Okay. Whew. You guys ready to just, go right in? Because here's Ralph Nader's statement. In fact, I can make these all a bit bigger because the way we're doing this. Yeah. Stage 2 of Israel's genocidal war is emerging. Mass graves are being discovered. Torture of abducted Palestinian hostages thrown in Israeli prisons. And reports of selected human organ extractions from fresh Palestinian corpses in Gaza. Intelligence agencies report all this in their morning briefings to President Biden. Still, he sticks to his master, Netanyahu, and makes the American taxpayer pay $14 billion more for Netanyahu's slaughter of Palestinian children, women, and male civilians. So good old Ralph Nader just putting the truth out there, which, has, I think, always been his thing.
Yeah, basically.
Definitely, he's been someone who's spoken truth to power for a long time.
I mean, it's not even like, the second sentence of that about torture of abducted Palestinian hostages thrown in Israeli prisons. Well, I mean, like, yeah, for like the last 15 years.
Yep.
It's not really new. Be nice if people weren't just hearing about it now.
So on Earth Day, the beginning of this week, on Monday, Extinction Rebellion Boston did a little rally in the park. We had a bunch of games, outreach table, all that type of stuff. We asked for solidarity. And when you do that as a group like XR, what you're asking is you're asking other groups that might have members who want to come to our thing and bump up our numbers and also might be, at least related in, what we all believe to show up, right?
Sure.
You show up to ours, we'll show up to yours.
Yeah.
And we ended up with, around 200 people. One of the solidarity groups was a group that works to try and deal with water for Palestinians and the absolute human rights violations that the treatment of water and the Palestinians is with, the Israeli government and everything. And they've got a table going. My job for the day, as I am currently on probation and there were going to be some possibly arrestable events happening, as you plan with these types of, events. My job was just to be a marshal, which puts me on the outside, encircling the rally to kind of deal with anyone who shows up who isn't our friend. And during the march, we're on the outside of the march. We're the ones stopping traffic. We're the ones, getting in between the cars and the other protesters, telling the drivers what's going on, trying to keep them calm. One of us ends up being the police liaison, the one who's got to talk to them when they come over and try to talk to random people. Everyone's to point at that guy and say he's the only one allowed to talk to you. And it's his decision whether, we stay in the streets or whether we get off onto the sidewalks, whether arrests are coming, all that. And so during that whole event, I'm a marshal, right?
Sure.
And by no, actual built-in, like we didn't choose to do this, I just happened to end up on the outside of our rally in the position right in front of the Gazan water protectors group with their table and their pro-Palestine and, free Gaza and all that material, right? And they had signs and everything.
Sure.
And when you're in front of a table like that and you're marshaling and you're doing all that, one of your jobs is to intercept people who are going to fuck with him, right? And of course, I'm now in the hottest spot of the whole. Like, there's 200 of us there, and good old Gregg's the one standing in front of that table. Now, I didn't do that on purpose, but, for all I know, maybe the person actually who organized and told us where to go stand might have been thinking about that. But, I was the one put in front of that table. And an Israeli-American member of the U.S. Armed Forces and a general he was in town with going to something stop at the table. But they stop 5 feet from it and are looking at it first. And so I get right up to them and ask, hey, do you want some material, anything else? They already looked off to me. Right. So instead of letting one of the actual people who did it walk over with one of their pamphlets and try and talk to him, I stepped right in front of him and wanted to preempt. And the general guy walks off. He doesn't want any of this. But the Israeli, former IDF now, U.S. military, I guess, maybe I don't know how any of that works for him, but there he is, right? He said he was a member of the biggest socialist group in America, as they all joke about the U.S. Army, right? He starts going on about, oh, you're all pro-rapists. As soon as they return the hostages. And I, of course, am talking about him, and his genocidal mania, But I spent 45 minutes keeping him and then the other couple people who showed up like him 5, 6, maybe even 7 feet, depending on how we were standing and coordinated, away from the table, while the people at the table kept handing out pamphlets, kept talking to people. I kept them so angry at me and what I was saying that they didn't even think to walk around me and go to the table.
Right.
And for 45 minutes, one of them finally said, all right, well, you know what? The charter that started all of this, the Hamas ran on to get in, said all these things, they're horrible. So I will bet you it says that they want to kill every single person in Israel. I said, I don't care. And he said, no, I'll bet you. If you have these beliefs, what's that in your bag? And I said, it's an iPad. And he said, all right, I'll bet you that it says that. And if it doesn't, you have to throw that in the water. And I said, what?
Why would I?
Why would I agree to any of that?
I didn't dispute dispute your position there in the first place.
Right? This is how dumb they were. I was dealing with absolute idiots. And when they couldn't come up with anything to disprove anything I was saying, the numbers of people dead and even the other things, like this, like the organ harvesting, the attacks on the World Central Kitchen that were directed and on purpose.
Yep.
They just kept going back to stupid shit like that. Well, I'll bet you Hamas's original charter was also genocidal. And I'm like, great. And did they pull it off? No. Okay. And what led up to that? And and do the people currently in that area have a chance to replace them or remove them? Have they for decades? No. Okay. So they can't remove them. So it's not that they support them. It's that they have no choice right now. Oh, okay. And we just back and forth. But the whole time I'm doing it, I'm just actually keeping them away from, and all the people behind me who are running the table and everything are all like the older school kind of activists, like the old school anti-nuclear, anti-war types. They're all, they're all way grayer than I am. They're all in their 70s or so. And so just keeping these really like big, like angry dudes from the army and whatnot, away from them was my job for the day. And I feel very accomplished. And then we did end up taking everyone out into the streets, doing a march, taking the bridge to the seaport and blocking it off and sitting down. And we had all the news helicopters in the air. We had all the TV cameras. They were all broadcasting. Some of them were live, ABC, NBC, all of them were here. So like it went off really well. It went great. But I in the end was very happy that they stationed me there because... I am from the internet. I spent my years on 4chan dealing with people there, just trolling them to the point where they won't talk to anyone else but me. Was like, that's just built into who we are. I mean, half of you in chat are the same way, right? So, like, I did not have a problem with that. I was in no way triggered. I was kind of enjoying the moment of fucking with them.
It's like the G-Man says, the right man in the right place makes all the difference in the world.
Yep. So that was my Monday. It was definitely heightened. Then we get to the rest of the week here, right? All these college campuses start going up. And, here in Boston, it starts at Emerson. And this is what happened at 2 a.m. last night. This is the mass arrests. And, they're throwing people to the ground. One of the guys who was taken off in one of the wagons had a broken nose. There's people with scratches, bruises. They're putting them on the ground, cuffing them while they're down there, throwing them. It's horrible what they're doing. And all these people were doing was literally sitting in this little pathway here. They had some tents up. They weren't like leaving this area and doing anything harmful to anyone else. This is literal fascism. We're protesting. We are using the First Amendment. It happened at 2 a.m. So one, I was already asleep by then. But two, I couldn't be there for this one, even though calls were put out hours earlier, because I am currently on probation from the last time I got arrested at a thing. And I still have to turn in my community service hours, which is happening next week because I think I'll be done tomorrow, and have that cleared before I can go get arrested again. If I don't get that cleared first and then get arrested, it's 3 or 4 months in jail, depending on how nice the judge wants to be that day. And I need to keep planning and doing all this protesting. It's better to have me not spend 3 or 4 months in jail, For other reasons too. I'm sure my wife, kids, everyone else, they don't want that. But still, the main reason for me is I need to pattern out my arrests so I don't actually get jail time from it. And once that's turned in, though, you will definitely see me at these things. And this one was interesting today, later in the day. So at Northeastern, you'll see here, the camp is up. And this is all of the state police. All the ones in black leaving are the state troopers. And they're leaving. And then this is, with the yellow on, this is all the Boston, the BPD.
Yep.
They're staying, but they're moving their perimeter back. Now, what's really interesting about this is at about almost 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
They had issued warning that the college had told the cops and everyone they'd work together that at 2 p.m. they were going to clear the encampment. They didn't. And then by the time 4 p.m. rolled around, they all wander off. when this happened, like no one said why they were leaving or anything. And a few of the reporters asked the cops. They gave no answers. So we still don't know why they wandered off at that point and didn't clear the camp.
I guess the lesson here is that the families of Northeastern students are wealthier than the families of Emerson students.
That does sound like the lesson to me.
Which honestly, I wouldn't necessarily have guessed. I would have guessed they were similar, but this seems like it might be evidence to the contrary.
So as many more colleges go up, we're starting to see responses. So in Indiana University, they went up today, and on top of one of the buildings named the IMU at Indiana University, they had a sniper. The cops put a sniper pointed at the peaceful protest of people in tents occupying the quad.
I mean, if it was going to happen somewhere, which it certainly was, Indiana is hardly the most surprising choice.
Yeah, what?
Doesn't make any sense, but Indiana.
Yeah. Through all of this, USC has canceled its graduation. So the valedictorian was going to be a person who is pro-Palestine, who has gone to protests, and who was supposed to give the... So a bunch of students who are graduating this year, because of timing, also didn't get their high school graduation because of COVID.
Right.
So now they're not getting their high school graduation and they're not getting their college graduation because this college is a bunch of weak bastards who can't possibly allow someone to get up who might be pro-Palestine. Everyone gets their commencement, their graduation gone. That is some bullshit.
Yeah. And, in case anyone might be confused about which USC it is, it's the one in California, not the one in South Carolina.
Yes. So then there's this tweet, which I found interesting. Can we just take a minute to reflect on how fucking insane it is that state power is being used to put down protests of American citizens violating their rights on behalf of a foreign government? Our First Amendment rights are being violated by these fucking stormtroopers here on behalf of a foreign nation.
Mm-hmm.
So today, UCLA, Indiana University, Emory, Cornell, Northeastern, Florida State, GWU, George Washington in D.C., University of Penn, Pennsylvania, Drexel, and Temple all went live. This blockading of doors and whatnot is interesting.
Yeah.
What's more interesting to me, though, is some of the tactics and some of the videos that are being used. If you look at what the students are doing, they are actually using tactics they were taught in active shooter drills at their schools now, because there's so many active shooter events and mass shootings at schools now that the kids that are early in college, freshmen and juniors, actually did go through active shooter drills and get training on barricading
right.
Against active shooters. And some of those kids are now using that training they were taught for active shooter drills for their schools against the cops.
That is an interesting unintended consequence. I wouldn't have seen that one coming, but it makes a lot of sense. And good on them for demonstrating that they belong in college, because they can take things they learned in school and apply it to the real world.
Right? See, that's a good way to look at it. And then we've got this, which I thought was amazing. So GWU goes up, and Georgetown didn't get one up, right? All the Georgetown students that wanted one, that's them marching to GWU and joining the GWU
that's
one.
Fantastic.
And that is absolutely fantastic. Like, so GWU's is now way larger because all the Georgetown students went across town and joined in. And then the Fit Institute, which is a fashion institute school in New York, in solidarity with Columbia, they came in and they took the area, and then they barred cops and everyone else from getting into the building. And then also cops barred more protesters from joining them, of course, because like they were also getting blocked too.
Right.
But yeah, the Fit Institute was taken today. And this AJ Plus put out, all of those flags are active encampments now. So if you look at it, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 27. There's 30 of them on there. That's not enough, but it is encouraging.
Yeah.
And the mood is definitely starting to get set online with the old protesters and the Anons and the hacktivists. But here's UC Santa Barbara. They took an entire building, and they have the building still. They have not been removed, as I understand it. But the mood is starting to get set around the world, too, because here's Sorbonne University in France, like famous university. And the French police are having none of it and being about as violent as they are with the firemen.
Yeah. The French state is not really friendly to pro-Muslim groups of any sort, even if it's from just pro-ethnic groups that are predominantly Muslim.
So now we've got URNon News putting out some of our old tips. Turn off Face ID on your phone, password lock it. Wear a mask to obfuscate your identity. Also helps with preventing inhaling mass amounts of tear gas. Bring extra water, bring snacks. Do not wear jewelry. Do not wear contact lenses because tear gas under contact lenses sucks. Bring a backpack with your goodies and first aid, your water, your snacks. Also bring some extra masks and whatnot if you are bringing a backpack, to help everyone else out, people who forgot them. Go with a group you trust, and they have posted one of the old school, set of protester safety tips. Go with a group, wear a mask, dress accordingly, pack a bag, contact a non-participant. And this is one of the key things that a lot of people forget about. You've got to let one of your friends or family members or someone know that's outside of this if you're just showing up and you're not part of a concerted group. Because, like, when I go do something with XR and we know people are going to get arrested and we know, shit's coming, we have a dedicated team of people who are set up to do jail support, who are set up to get the NLG, the National Lawyers Guild, involved, who bring, who go there and bring bail money and work with the bail funds and all these other pieces to the puzzle to make your jail time as short as possible after arrest and get you right out and get you lawyered up and everything. But if you're just showing up to a protest randomly, you're not part of a group and everything, let some friends know, let some other people know that aren't coming for whatever reason they're not coming. First, of course, invite them along. Then let the ones who can't come know. And also when you get there, talk to organizations. Someone on the ground might actually be running this type of a setup already and get in contact with jail support. Just make sure that you are covered. There are many other people posting different variations of these safety tips and other safety tips out there. I recommend anyone, goes and looks at them. They're all over Twitter. They're all over everywhere else. You can also Google these things. There's tons of these. But everyone should be using these safety tips. And there's a lot of other things like dressing accordingly. Layered clothing, especially a loose jacket on top. So when cops grab you, you can wiggle out of it and run because they only have the jacket. Solid colors without major logos on it. So you can't be picked out of a crowd if you get merged back into that crowd again. Just standard little things like that, Another trick is wear gloves that are very loose that can fall off of you easily. So if cops, do grab your arm and you jerk back to slide out, the gloves are going to slide off. Their hands are going to slide off your hands and you can run again. There's lots of little tricks that these guys are going to help you with that you just learn in the field of doing this, type of protesting for so long. But you can see the mood has really changed out there with all of this. Because I'm not going to show some of them because I think some of them might act, but there are a lot of old school hacktivists, some with jail time behind them for the stuff they've done, who are now out there talking about organizing, talking about, I don't need to go back to jail, but it is definitely getting the eyes of people. And I would like to remind, like, everyone out there that the last time a group of hacktivists got mad at the cops, I believe they hacked just over 50 different police precincts and multiple FBI websites and dumped data and everything else they could do and hacked all their websites and dumped emails. And so, I mean, I highly doubt any of those groups have upped their security enough that can't happen again. And it looks like a lot of people are that mad. Well, you turn off Face ID because a cop will grab your phone from you to try and look at the current discussion groups. Like when there is a jail support group, right? They'll usually have a discussion group on Signal that everyone's joined so they can say, oh, this has happened, that has happened, to keep the lawyers and the jail support who are off-site updated, right? So a cop will take your phone, point it at your face real quick so it opens up, and then open up Signal and look at it. Because your face opened the phone up for them. Whereas if you have all the biometrics turned off, they can't even grab your thumb.
Yeah, definitely turn off all biometrics.
They have to ask you for the password, and you can say, fuck you, which is what you should say when they ask you for your password. And so with the biometrics, it just gives them access to all of the current ongoing planning, all the current ongoing chats. And it should be illegal. It is not.
Yeah, the courts have distinctly ruled that it is not illegal, including forcing you to give fingerprints for them to open the phone.
Yeah. The courts have ruled that the cops grabbing your hand and compelling you to put your thumb on your phone to open it up is allowed. They ruled it just a couple weeks ago as the same as taking your fingerprints once they're booking you, the same as forcing you to take a picture when they're booking you, and the same as drawing blood when they're booking you. They said forcing you to open your phone is the same thing. I mean, we're just taking a piece of your body and doing something. We already do that, and we throw you in a cell. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could also mess with them. Like if you want to leave fingerprints on, have some random stranger just walking downtown, just literally convince some random stranger to do their biometrics on your phone on the way in. And then the cops can try all they want to get your thumb to read. And you can waste a lot of their time saying, I don't know why it's not working, sir. And just fuck with them for an hour as they try and figure it out. That gets them easy access, right up front. But in the end, the thing that people should remember is the police have devices at their that they have to use that they can just plug these phones into that will still dump data from them without getting past the passcodes and whatnot. So don't bring your regular phone to the protest anyways. Use burners. I have 3 burners here for different use cases, some for different groups. 2 of them are ones where the SIM card comes out before I get near my house, so it's never even on. It gets powered off when it gets here. There are specific reasons for using them, but especially at protests where you think you could get arrested and they might want to go through your phones. But yeah, there's just a ton of stuff out there on this, and I would recommend everyone get knowledgeable before you go out and do this stuff. As for all the hacktivists out there, I'm not going to sit here and tell anyone to go break all the laws and do all the things because I'm live on Twitch. But I did really enjoy the last time all the hacktivists got together and fucked with the cops. What? Come on over. There's another person here, very, very well versed in all of this, who's been to all the major protests, all to Occupy, all the other stuff with me for over a decade. Yes, started out with me in Marble Cake even, like did all that stuff when I brought you in to help me with the writing, because I can't write.
I joined Marble Cake very late.
You joined late, but you still were in. Got stuff to say. Are you on camera? You are. You on camera?
I am on camera. Anyway, I talked with Greg about this earlier, and I figured it would be a good time. I don't know if people can actually hear me because I'm not eating the microphone. Just to talk about how to pack your bag for these things. I don't actually put the microphone in my mouth. Jeez. So a lot of times you'll see these very general ones like what Your Non News put up, and that's a great starting point, but when you're going to, especially your first protest, you want to think about what your role is going to be and then pack accordingly. I know a lot of very well-meaning people think that their role is going to be street medic, and I guarantee you if it's your first protest, that's not your role. Even if you are first aid certified, CPR certified, even if you know all of the things, specifically being a street medic is a very specific skill set. It includes a lot of things that you're not going to learn in a standard first aid. If you're near any major metro, find the local street medics. They do trainings. Talk with them if that's something that you're interested in doing. Otherwise, there are other things that you can be doing at a protest. Like what Gregg said earlier, you can be a marshal, where you need to learn how to de-escalate conflict or do what he did, which is draw aggro, which does kind of de-escalate, at least redirects conflict. But also general, paying attention to a crowd, seeing what's going on, so, your awareness and all that stuff. One of the roles that people don't think about is being the mom friend. And you do not have to be a mom to do this. But if you are a mom, you may have your giant diaper bag still lying around, which is very useful. People forget to pack things. People forget to pack water. They forget to pack snacks. They forget to pack cough drops, which you don't think about ahead of time, but you're going to be yelling a lot. Your throat's going to get sore like immediately. But also things like bandanas, just little things like that. If you are packing snacks for what's going on right now, I strongly recommend choosing snacks that are kosher for Passover, because there are a lot of, Jews for Palestine out there right now, and you want to make sure you're packing snacks that people can eat, but also snacks that are halal, because there are a lot of Palestinians who try to keep halal. So, just make sure you're packing things that are actually useful to the crowd you're going into. And one other thing that my kids actually have learned very well, if you are on the megaphone or if you're anywhere near the people on the megaphone and you think you can steal the thing, learn how to chant. It sounds really simple. You think it's really simple, but no. I have seen so many people, I have heard so many people absolutely fail at chants. Gregg, what's the best chant?
3-word chant.
3-word chant. You know why 3-word chant is great? It's 4-4, which even the stupid white people can do. You've got a rest built in, which is super important because people forget. You have to breathe while you're chanting. I don't know if any of you know how to do the recycle your breath thing, but nobody in the crowd does. Just get better at chanting, people. Anyway, 3-word chant is big. San Antonio. Snip. Hi.
You can just say homie.
Homie is on there. Brought up a good point. Sunscreen, even if you don't think it's going to be super bright, even if you're not somewhere where it's super hot, sunscreen's important. Keep an eye on yourself, an eye on your friends. Always go with a buddy. And really, really, really critical, make sure you know how to get out. Make sure you know 2 ways how to get out. Make sure that your group knows where to fall back to, especially if you've got a bigger group. Talk about these things before you go in, because 99 times out of 100, you go to the park, you go and yell, you go home, nothing bad happens. But that one time, all the planning you put in matters. No, and don't be a dumbass and show up in flip-flops or high heels or tight business shoes. Please, just wear shoes that make sense. Please, do not be that guy. Don't be that guy. So there's a question there, how long do you stay at a protest? And part of that is just, you go with your vibes. Listen to your body. If you're exhausted, if you're emotionally exhausted, which are different things, go home. Go home before you make a mistake. Go home before you become a liability to the other people. It's okay to take a break, go over to a coffee shop, get some caffeine, decide if you want to come back. It's okay to go in a quiet corner somewhere if it's just emotional, listen to some music, whatever you have to do to regulate yourself. But don't feel like you have to be there for 8 hours. Don't feel like you have to pull a full shift. That's crazy.
Well, I will say it also depends on the protest, because I've been at protests that were planned out to be hour-long events. And I've been at protests that were planned out to be 2-hour-long events, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've been at protests that we knew they weren't going to end until they ended, and they've been days, and people have cycled in and out. There was Occupy. It was 2 months here in Boston. It really depends on the protest. Usually, I would say my average time from I've left the house to I'm coming home or I'm in a jail cell is about 3 hours. That's kind of the average I've been used to. So you can think, it's going to take up your morning or your afternoon, depending on how it goes. Or, I've been held overnight once or twice, because like they picked us up so late in the day that there wasn't a bail bondsman to come and do the paperwork, and that couldn't be done till morning and all that type of crap. But usually the average is the 3-hour range, I would say. And yeah, I mean, once I clear my hours here and, early next week I can start doing things, I am going to play around a little. Timing is weird for me. I am going out of town for a week from the 6th to like the 13th in an area that is definitely not doing any of this in good old Midwestern America. But when I come back, I do plan on joining in a lot of the planning and everything else and seeing what we can get done here. Hoping that a lot of the colleges are still going at that point. Obviously, I am encouraging a bunch of stuff. But yeah, and that is one of the very key things, homie. When you feel uncomfortable with where things have gone, that's your time to leave. The one thing you're going to learn from good protesters, ones who have been doing it for a while, is we're very accepting of everyone's abilities, everyone's comfortability, everyone's sensibilities, all of that. So if you show up to a protest that you think is going to be, there's going to be some yelling, it's going to be contentious, and it turns into a brawl between Nazis and lefties, and you aren't here for that, you can leave. No one's going to be mad that you left. Everyone's going to be like, we were glad you were there to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you want to punch a Nazi, please punch a Nazi. It's certain types of protests. It's planned that people are going to show up and leave early when things change. Like you might be in a position where you're in a job where you cannot get arrested for this job. And they'll have 10 or 15 people who are like that at the protest. And they'll say, all right, the first hour of the protest, we're not going to cross that red line. But at about an hour in, we're going to tell everyone who can't get arrested, you might want to go home now because we're about to do the thing. And so you're going to find at a lot of protests that it's really built out in a way to support everyone's risk level and keeping everyone comfortable. The other thing you're going to find from really good protesters, which a lot of people are not used to when they get into the space with organized people who've been doing it for a while, is people talking about all kinds of interesting terms like slow your yes. That is a very important term in activism when you're covering many fronts. Like I do a lot of the pro-Palestine stuff, but I also do a lot of the environmental stuff. I do a lot of other things. Like I've got my hands in 10 different pots, right? I could say yes every time someone says, hey, we need this done for a website, or we need this done, or we need someone here on this day. And by the time I've said yes to everyone who I could say yes to that week, I've actually committed myself to 90 hours of work. And you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So one of the important pieces to being a good activist is when someone says, no, I can't do a thing, you don't get mad about it. You know that they're just as stretched thin as you are. They don't have any spare cycles left. And understanding that piece of the puzzle is really important too, to keeping these things healthy and keeping people returning, not letting them burn out. So there's a lot of other mental pieces to this that are really important too, to wrap your head around and really be okay with. Because you would think there's a lot of environments where if you all showed up and you're all about to get arrested for a thing and some dude runs, everyone might be angry. Like, why'd he run? We're all getting arrested. But no, that's not how it works in these environments. That you go in planning and you go in understanding that everyone has different risk levels, and you go in really, really hoping that everyone around you is respectful of what risk you're willing to take. And the biggest key about risk is when you go into an agreed environment where people have talked about their risk levels beforehand, and a lot of activists use these levels. They'll use yellow or green, yellow, orange, red, right? Green is someone who cannot get arrested. This person, their life is fucked if they get arrested. Yellow is I really can't get arrested because like I can't miss work, but like if it happens. Orange is like on the fence. If I get arrested, I get arrested, but I'm not here trying. Red is I'm here to get arrested. I planned the arrest. I only have my ID in my pocket. My lawyer's waiting. Red is ready to go, right? But if you're an event and this event is set up, say, mostly green and yellow, and it's been agreed upon green and yellow, and you do something that turns the event red, you're the bad guy. You have now upped everyone's risk level without their consent. So in this space, a lot of people don't do that. Like you aren't going to run into a lot of that. It's going to be a very new protester who didn't know better who does that. And if you can catch that early on, that is an important piece of the puzzle because we're all in the end, not only there to protest whatever we're protesting, but we're also there to take care of everyone else who's there with us. And you've got to work hard at that part of it too. Definitely.
So one of the interesting things doing a lot of protesting with young kids was sometimes the kids would want to come to things. One time we went to one at the State House protesting against some MBTA fare hikes because, it sucks. And, we had some family rules about going to protests. And obviously the kids learned a lot, from us on that one, including like they couldn't hold signs that they didn't understand because I felt very strongly that's not cool to do to your kid. Just but we were in front of the State House and one of the organizers comes over and sees this family with 2 young kids and comes over to talk to me and says, at 8:00, we are planning civil disobedience. And just that awareness and planning is something that you see in these seasoned people. And it's a good sign when you're at a protest that you've got people who are doing those things that are looking at the crowd and looking at what do we have here? Who's at what kind of risk? Who are the people who obviously are signaling that they're green? Obviously, you don't want to get arrested when you've got a baby in your arms. A couple times I've been marshaling and people will bring kids, babies in strollers. And part of what you do as a marshal there is go up and talk to the families and make sure that the kids understand what they're doing, that the parents understand what to do in the event that they get separated from their kid. Anytime as a parent you're in a crowd with the kids, there's always a chance they get separated. But a protest, that can go sideways really, really fast, and you have to overplan. Oh no, there was one other thing that I wanted to say, and I don't remember what it is now.
Well, I think it's really funny in chat there that homie says, listen, points down, and then Portia says, do not talk to cops. That is perfect.
Yeah.
One of the best things that a well-organized protest is going to have is explicit instructions, do not talk to cops. And then a person whose job it is to actually talk to cops who has a lot of experience. And what that person's job is, they are usually called the police liaison. And so we had one specifically, at Earth Day the other day. And their job is twofold. Usually it's to try and keep the cops from arresting everyone, or to try and buy the protesters who aren't in red rolls, the ones who don't want to get arrested, enough time to get out. Let's say a good example is we're in the streets doing a march, and the cops keep saying, get out of the streets. This march isn't sanctioned. It's not permitted. And depending on what march you're doing, a lot of times the cops actually just let you do your marches. Like they don't want to bother with it. And there's tricks you can do to get the march to be, less screwed with. Like with our Earth Day one, we only took 2 of the 3 lanes. And then we had marshals keeping that third lane open, which took us right by a fire department, which most of the actual ambulances come out of for all of that area of downtown Boston. And so we showed just by our simple makeup of our march that we understood that those ambulances need to be let through. And by doing so, we also left a lane of traffic open, which they could redirect traffic down. And we had marshals that were obviously good and fine with standing that close to moving traffic. And that bought us more time. But in that event, let's say we had taken all 3 lanes and we weren't cognizant of the environment we were in and we weren't doing things to try and make life easier on ourselves, right? The police liaison is going to be approached. We're going to get told to get out of the street. He's going to ask, is this a credible threat of arrest? And what that means is, cops are going to give you a warning that you need to stop. That doesn't mean stop. It does to them, but not to you. What it actually means is you've got a few minutes before I come back and say, okay, now you're trespassing or now you're disorderly and now you're under arrest. So usually here in Boston, we get a threefold action. And this, I mean, I say this from experience because I've been in it 100 times now. They'll come up and they'll say, stop doing whatever you're doing or get away from wherever you are, get out of the street or get out of this doorway or whatever, right? And you'll say, is that a credible threat of arrest? And they won't answer you because they never answer that question. And then they'll walk off. And then they'll come back and they'll say, you're now trespassing. You have a choice to leave or not. And then they give you a couple minutes. And everyone who leaves. And everyone who stays, they say, okay, great. You chose to be arrested. You're under arrest, right? And there's kind of like, there's almost a pattern that even the cops are getting used to, which is really crazy because they now also, that threefold pattern seems to mean the people getting arrested don't fight back as much to them usually. So in very organized ones, you're going to get that. And the police liaison's job is to keep the cops kind of in that mood and acting that way. So as much of the protest can happen as needs to, and as few people get arrested as possible, right? That's that person's job. And usually you're going to pick someone to do that job who's done it 100 times before. There aren't many new protesters who become the police liaison because they don't know how to talk to cops, right? And how to talk to cops usually is fucking don't. But in a protest that's set up and organized this way, you've got to have someone who responds to them or everyone ends up arrested, right? And you have a lot of people who did not want to get arrested that day. So it's a way to prevent that. But in events like last night at Emerson, where, the cops, just came in and just started beating people and taking them and throwing them to the ground, none of that plays. No. They didn't give a chance to disperse at the point of attack. For hours earlier, they kept telling everyone to leave, but they didn't do it in the credible way where leave, protest, arrested. They didn't do the 3-stage thing that we're used to here. And what they did was interesting because if you saw the video that we played earlier, they're in kind of this pathway, this hallway, where the opening goes out to the street and it's pointing the park, the common and the garden in central Boston. And then the other side goes into a building there, right? The cops stood on the side with the street and started blocking it. And then all the kids got up and kind of got into formation to keep the cops out. And the cops kept acting like they were going to come in there. And then everyone's facing this way. And the cops came through the building, out the doors real quick and started tackling everyone. So they just, they're going to do stupid shit like that. And they're going to be violent the whole time. So in those types of events where you're occupying for a long time, you're going to have to put up with the fact that when they choose to come in, they come in that way. Very rarely do they come in and at that point give you a chance to get away. But in the normal organized ones where you've been planning for weeks, you're going to expect there is actually a person whose job it is to talk to the cops. They are called the police liaison in all the groups that I know of that do this. So your job is, if a cop tries to talk to you, is to say, I'm not allowed to talk to the cops. You want to talk to that person. You're not going to get anything from me. And then just keep walking or keep sitting or whatever you're doing. Some cops really hate that and they're going to try and keep talking to you. At that point, just stop talking. Don't say anything other than that's the police liaison. They'll get it and they'll go talk to that person instead. I haven't had an environment yet in hundreds of these where they didn't end up just talking to the police liaison. So just remember that if you're in a good organized group, there's going to be someone whose job it is to have those conversations. And it's usually not going to be you. So just tell the cops to go talk to that person.
I remember the thing.
Another thing?
I remember the thing. So on the subject of the vibes suddenly going off, there was one event that Greg and I were at years ago. And I think it was a really good example of listening to your gut and going with your personal, risk level, comfort with risk. I don't know what the right word is. There was a group of, fashy assholes that were leaving, and there was a group of DSA kids and some other people who were just sort of harassing them on the way out, just like making sure they keep moving, they don't stay in the city, they leave. And I was sort of staying parallel with this group because I wanted to see what's going on, but I wasn't in where Greg was. Down at the point where there was a little bit of a line, somebody decided they wanted to play Please Arrest Me. And they decided to play this by whacking a cop with a flagpole, which, pro tip, if you hit a cop with a flagpole, you're going to get arrested.
Oh, yeah.
That's the That's
Yeah.
a game that only goes one way. But what that person did immediately upped the risk level for all of us. And the cops reacted very quickly and basically like expelled me from the point where I was. All of the people with Gregg locked arms, and he, being comfortable with that, locked arms with them. The cops all lined up, and so there's this like line of protesters here, line of cops here. We don't even know where the Nazis have fucking gone at this point. And I just get ejected into this space in between, and it was very quiet, and that's very bad. Quiet's bad. I learned later on from somebody who was training on, weird interpersonal safety stuff. But the thing that he said there was, for the majority of men, they can't hit you while they're yelling. There is something in their head where, for the most part, most of them have talking time separate from action time. And so, if a bunch of cops suddenly go very quiet, and all of the male protesters, it was mostly men in that row there, are all very quiet, it's a moment there.
Shit's about to go down.
What I chose to do was to start a stupid chant. I don't even remember what it was. It was not topical, but it got everybody making noise, which de-escalated things a little bit, because nobody needed to get arrested on that hill. There was nothing to get arrested for. As that happened, and I wound up going behind our line, away from the cops, I then saw the party van show up at the bottom of the hill. We don't call it the other thing anymore.
You call it the police wagon.
It's the party van.
You keep using a lot of in-words that people where I post this online won't know what you're saying or referring to, and you need to actually also use regular old language for some of this.
I suppose.
Especially since we're targeting a lot of new people with some of the language we're using.
This is true. This is one of the problems when you've been doing this for a long time is you...
I mean, really, everyone ought to recognize what the party wagon is.
Anyway, the police wagon shows up at the bottom of the hill. Me and about half a dozen other people bolt. Don't even think about it. I had no thought in my head. Just gone. Gregg stayed with the group that was there, continued down his merry way. As I was leaving, I start shedding layers of clothing and shifting out of the very bright, very noticeable, very large scarf that I was in into something that was less noticeable, because that's what you do, dummy. Wear layers so you can change how you look when you leave. And I saw 3 other people doing the same thing, and we all kept an eye out for each other and made sure the cops didn't see us. We all, in our guts, were not ready to get arrested on that hill. And even if we had gone into that protest thinking that's a thing that we wanted to do, in that moment, vibes were off and we left. And that's not to say that we made the right choice and the people who stayed made the wrong choice. We all made the right choices for ourselves.
I have talked about that day a couple times before, but that was the day that after that line, where it was very much like Red Rover. After that line there, I re-picked up all of the fash who had been hiding around a corner because it was a dead end. And so all the fascists were over there because they didn't want to come out to our, line with the cops where it looked like shit was about to go down. I had already been hit in the head that day. I'd already been hit in the side. I'd gotten hit with a flagpole. I'd gotten hit with a baton. It was a day. And I really didn't feel like getting arrested anymore, but I saw the fash over there, and I know that area really well. And it's called Beacon Hill, for anyone who knows Boston. And it's this really tight little hill right up next to the State House and everything. And a lot of old buildings, so very narrow, like cars barely fit down some of these streets. Lots of dead ends with just into driveways or people's, kind of yards and whatnot. And I knew probably the fash did not know that little area as well as I did. I'd actually worked on the hill for a little bit. And so I went over and started messing with them. No one came with me. So I'm yelling at them until finally, a couple people saw that I was over there yelling around the corner at someone, and they came up behind me like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, hey, it's the Nazis." And we back up. They come out into the street and start to walk off. And I turn on my camera and I start following them, just yelling horrible things at them. They're yelling back. but I keep boxing them in until I get them into one of those dead ends. And I held them there for, I mean, well over an hour. They're all sitting down on the ground now because it's just a dead end in a very narrow street that was only like 8 feet wide.
Public alley. It wasn't even a street.
Yeah, it was like a little alley right into someone's like kind of like little parking area where like 3 cars would fit. And so they're just sitting on the ground saying, Greg, can you just let us go? Like, we're just trying to get to the trains and leave. And they're just like complaining at me for like a literal hour because they don't want to like have me follow to where their actual cars are and get their plates. They don't want to like unmask in front of me and show all their faces on my camera. And so the other people who were with me got bored and left, and I'm just standing at the end of the street alone. And there were, I think it was like 14 of them just sitting on the ground waiting for me to stop. Finally, I actually got tired and hungry enough that I was like, maybe. And I started to walk off. They all got up, left the alley. I was like, no, never mind. And I followed them again. And I actually got to their cars and did get pictures of their cars, their plates, everything, and got those off to the people who needed to know that. And you know, got them pretty doxed up. But that was a wild day, man. There were at least 3 spots where I knew I was about to get arrested. And then it just did not happen to our group for one reason or another. I mean, her starting that chant did de-escalate that moment because a couple of the kids who were with me really black blocked up anarchist kids who I agree with almost everything they were doing that day, including what they were about to do. They had their flagpoles ready. They had taken the flags off and they were about to charge at the cops. Like, that's not intelligent. Like, you know, you don't want to get the assault charge and have it stick. They're gonna hit you with it a lot of the times when you're arrested, but it's very easy to fight off because like there's pictures of video of you not even resisting, right? But if you charge at a cop with a flagpole and hit him before he's even like come at you, that's gonna stick.
Yeah, that's hard to avoid.
You're not getting let out the same day. So like you've got, I mean, and by all means, if you're ready for it, go take that. Hey, that's on you. You personal risk, all that fun stuff. But like just you're then also upping the risk of everyone standing around you. Now, I wasn't going to let all these kids just stand there and go through this alone. Like, fuck no. Like, I was ready to grab anything they were willing to toss me and join in if it had to be, if that was how the day was going to go. But luckily, I found the fascists over to, and was like, hey, wait, I'm going to go fuck with them. And when she started the chant, everything kind of calmed down. All the kids went looking for the fascists again. Exactly. You know, like one of those just pallets of bricks that end up in alleyways near protests for some reason. I don't know who puts them there. Don't know.
Speaking of like shedding clothing and the like to get away from the scene, there is a very good video by a very bad person titled "How to Escape the City: Urban Evasion While Being Hunted." That is about the techniques for avoiding pursuit in a city and breaking contact and those sorts of things. And while the person that made it is not a good person in any way, it has a lot of useful information. People
sometimes
check
bad people say relevant things.
Yeah. Turns out people who are experts on tracking and counter tracking, not always good people, but might know something about that subject.
Yeah, there could be useful data in there.
Mall bathrooms are helpful. Honestly, mall bathrooms are great. Back in ye olde anon days, there was a Best Buy that was close enough to where we were doing the event, but far enough. That was a particularly useful one because people don't think of a box store like that as having a bathroom, but once you get large enough, they do have them. There's one other thing that I forgot to mention earlier that does harken back to the anonymous days, and I think we don't talk about enough when we're talking about going to protests, and especially when we talk about solidarity, and that is staying on target.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to an event that's about Palestine and you start talking about, I don't know, internet censorship, it's not the time or the place.
No.
Not unless you're specifically talking about
in the
blackout in Palestine. Yeah. Like, if you're going to an event about wealth inequality, this is not the time necessarily to talk about the environment unless you're specifically talking about how that relates.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to Pride, you can talk about certain things, but make sure you're doing it in a super queer way. If you're choosing to go to somebody else's event, or if you are hosting a targeted event, stay on target.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You can do the networking, you can make friends, you can invite your friends to the other thing, but if you show up like the RevComs with your newspaper to sell, with chants that don't have anything to do with what we're all here for, you're the asshole.
Yep.
Indeed.
Ooh, I'm starting to feel it. My day has been very, very long and tiring. I think we can get off of this topic for the moment. I think we're definitely going to be revisiting it a lot over the next few weeks. One thing that I did say to Anna earlier was that I think...
I can't believe you just doxed me.
You said your name on it like the second time you were on the damn show. Was that I think the kids are doing all right. I think a lot of us old schoolers do have some things to show, like this list right here that's up on the screen, right? But for the most part, these kids are out there and getting it done right, and they don't need a lot of us old schoolers showing up and being in charge. No. So like if you think you've been doing this for 30 years and you should go down and show these kids how it's done, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Show up and say, hey, I see this thing, it could be done a little better, or we did this once at a thing, be helpful, join in, offer assistance where it looks like it's needed. Don't force yourself into events. But if you want to help out, just don't be, that guy. Like at Occupy, we had a bunch of the old anti-war people show up and just start talking to us like, well, we've been doing this for 30 years. You should listen to us. And they weren't helpful in the way that was, oh yeah, we did this thing once and it worked out this way. They were more you need to hand me the microphone, young kid. You don't know what you're doing kind of a, person. And that was not helpful. No. And they never got the microphone. So I think personally watching these kids and what they're doing and what they're pulling off, they've learned a lot watching all the other protesting in the last, decade and a half. And maybe that's some of that's Anonymous's work. Maybe that's some of the Occupy work. Maybe that's some of just all the other work going on around the world. But whatever it is, I think they're doing all right. And when we show up with any of our old school stuff, any of our we've been doing this forever stuff, it needs to be from a very helpful, very almost conciliatory kind of a way. You've got to walk in knowing that you're just here to help.
Yeah, you're here to provide support, not take over.
Exactly. And so if any of you choose to show up to any of those types of events or whatnot, and you know better than some of these people because you've been through the fire 100 times, don't act like that. It's not helpful. It just pushes people away. Make sure...
Even if you're right, you're not helping.
Just make sure that you show up and you offer help where it's needed. Because the one thing that people usually don't understand about these environments is everyone is hoping that everyone else has something to bring to the table, and usually nobody wants to be the leader. Mm-hmm. No one wants to be telling everyone what to do. A lot of humans really hope that someone's going to say what comes next. They don't necessarily want to be told outright what to do, but they like knowing that someone else has some ideas here. And so be that person who helps with those ideas. Be that person who helps push things forward. Don't be power hungry. Don't be egotistical. Like, no matter how you think you're an old schooler, no matter how long you've been doing this, you could be protesting for 30 years. Doesn't matter. These kids seem to be doing all right. We just need to show up and help where we can help, Snacks, they always forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, that's kind of my rant on all of this stuff. I think we should move over to more of our standard kind of daily topic stuff that we talk about. And that is moving over to whatever Mac has.
All right, let's see.
And she might come back later.
Um,
and we're going to move over to, I think, this button. Ta-da!
So,
we're on Mac's. Wow, why did... Okay, hey, it's working.
All right.
Look at that. Resub, thank you.
We just got a couple here. First of all, a couple of, since Donald Trump has lots of stories going on, mostly related to trials involving him, we have, of course, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments about whether he should be immune from the law for reasons. And there were some interesting exchanges there. Some very concerning ones on the part of, well, basically all the usual suspects, except weirdly not Amy Coney Barrett, who seemed to, from what I've seen, seem to not be very favorably inclined to the arguments being made by Trump's attorneys. I mean, it sounded like most of them weren't 100% sold. They definitely didn't sound like they were necessarily inclined to grant the unlimited privilege that Donald Trump's lawyers are arguing for. But they had Brett Kavanaugh suggested at one point that federal criminal laws ought not to apply to presidents unless Congress adopts a clear statement suggesting that they do. I mean, I was always under the impression that the clear statement was the foundational principle of law, that no one is above the law. I think also the 14th Amendment might have something to say on the subject of equal protection under the law, which would be directly contrary to the president having special protection under the law. But then we had Clarence Thomas ask why presidents weren't prosecuted for carrying out coups in the past. And he brought up Operation Mongoose, which was, of course, under JFK. Why wasn't JFK prosecuted for carrying out a coup? Like, why? He also, what was the other one? I think he mentioned, I think at one point he mentioned Nixon. Like, why wasn't Nixon? Kavanaugh mentioned, why? Well, while Ford pardoning Nixon was criticized at the time, it was, quote, now looked upon as one of the better decisions in presidential history, I think, by most people, end quote. Which, who the hell was he asking? Because who says that was a good decision? I was under the impression that pretty much everyone agreed that, like, it was a terrible decision. I mean, obviously not everyone, because there are some people that, have ideological reasons for believing that exact thing. And, Brett Kavanaugh seems like he's one of those people. But what? And, like, also, how is they pardoned Nixon a good argument for the president is immune to laws? Wouldn't the existence of such a pardon imply that, in fact, the president is not immune to the laws? They also had some other weird arguments. Where was the other one I saw? There was one about how, like, Alito said that a stable democratic society requires that a candidate who loses an election, even a close one, even a hotly contested one, leave office peacefully. Which, yeah, sure, okay. But then he was like, but what if the president fears they might be prosecuted by their successor? Like, then they wouldn't want to leave peacefully. Which, I mean, we already saw Donald Trump try not to leave peacefully. So what?
How about don't commit any crimes?
But then also there was this point where they were like, there are countries where former presidents have gotten tried and gotten to prison. And are those good countries? And I'm sitting here like, I don't know. Are you arguing that, like, well, let's just go with, like, the last decade, France, Portugal, South Korea, Taiwan, and I don't know, the British Virgin Islands. Like, which of these is undemocratic according to you, SCOTUS? I want to know. I don't think they're all great countries, like perfectly democratic countries or anything, but I want SCOTUS to give their opinions on which one is problematic. And it did sound like we did have one of the justices that isn't an absolute lunatic bring up the whole, like, so you're saying that Donald Trump could just order someone assassinated, and Trump's lawyers actually tried to do the like, well, maybe if it was an official act, and they're like, like, because he thought they were a political rival. And they're like, well, if it was an official act. And I don't think that argument really helped their case. I don't think even Alito or Thomas was like, yeah. But it's just on the one hand, you have the people pointing out like, this is obviously insane. And on the other hand, you have 5 of the justices being like, let's make the absolute dumbest arguments ever. Well, phrased as questions, but
right.
They're making arguments, really.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's just very weird and not weird in the sense of like unexpected, but like insane. It's insane. Yes. And just, once again, demonstrating how utterly illegitimate the current Supreme Court is. And it sure looks like they're going to probably not give outright immunity, but it seemed like they are leaning towards some degree of immunity. And it's like, how about no? How about everyone is subject to the law equally? And if anything, having been president puts you in a better position to fight any false charges. And speaking of false charges, it occurs to me. So the Supreme Court's saying, like, what about these countries where, like, they imprison the former presidents and it just turns into the cycle? All right. Are the justices of the Supreme Court arguing that the justice system in America is so corrupt that not even being a former president allows you to have the influence to fight false charges? Is that the argument they're making? Because it sounds like that's like if the charges are legitimate, then the president should be in prison, right? So their concern is if the president is wrongfully, or former president is wrongfully imprisoned. But isn't their whole thing the belief that, like, the justice system will sort that out? Like, that's kind of supposed to be the whole point of the courts. Do they not believe that's how the courts actually work? Because I want that on record from them.
Yeah. It would be nice to have all of this on record.
Yeah. I just like, come out and say it. What are you hinting at? That was, of course, not the only news involving a Trump trial, though. We had a very interesting thing in the documents case where Donald Trump's lawyers argued that the FBI didn't actually basically the FBI didn't search a hidden room at Mar-a-Lago, and because of that, they didn't have material information to the defense of the defendants and therefore violated discovery, I guess. It's a very confusing argument that seems to rely on, but Donald Trump had a hidden room that the FBI didn't search, and therefore somehow the cases should be more favorable to them. I really don't understand how this is an argument. It is very puzzling.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And as per usual from Trump and his teams, it makes no sense. He doesn't have the best lawyers representing him, because
it's just
they won't.
It's just weird to have the lawyers like making an argument that's like, my client is so much more guilty than they are trying to prove.
Right? That's crazy.
It's just a bizarre argument. It's not like the usual Trump arguments where like, that's obviously wrong. That makes no sense. It's like, isn't that worse for you? Which now that I say that, I guess it isn't actually the first time they've done that. So, we also had, we already talked a little bit about David Pecker's testimony, but there was some other stuff that was very specifically material to the election interference hush money case that just was very interesting. And so a lot of it makes sense in the context of Pecker has a no prosecution agreement, so he's not getting in trouble for this, whatever he says. But he was like weirdly blithe about it, despite still insisting that he's like friends with Donald Trump and considers him a mentor. But he was also like, yeah, this was about the election. Absolutely. And there was one part where they were like, what was it? He was specifically talking about whether it was about Donald Trump's family, or was asked about that. And he was like, yeah, I don't remember him ever mentioning that. I was definitely under the impression it was about the election.
Yep.
But like, he also then specifically testified that he has no ill will to Trump. On the contrary, he considers him a mentor. And even, quote, even though we haven't spoken, I still consider him a friend. So it's just very weird that he was like, on the one hand, like, yeah, he is absolutely guilty. I 100% did the crime. I did crimes, lots of crimes, so many crimes. Also,
the biggest
I'm
crimes.
his friend. I'm his best friend. I did all of it for him. It is just an interesting situation. You don't see that every day.
Wow.
And then, interestingly, that's not even the extent. I mean, it's the extent of the direct cases that Trump is actually involved in at the moment. But we just had Arizona indict 18 people in their election interference case, including Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani. Trump was not in charge, but was referred to as an unindicted co-conspirator. And that one also includes like Trump's director of election day operations, Mike Roman, or these are unnamed defendants, but they also describe John Eastman, Christina Bobb, and then also among the ones that were actually indicted included, where is it? One of them is, Tyler Bowyer, who is not only on the Republican National Committee, but is also an executive of Turning Point USA. Also includes a state senator who was in the Capitol or outside in restricted areas outside the Capitol on January 6th. Former executive director of the Arizona Republican Party. Someone who ran for the 2022 Republican Senate primary in the state. Just all of these high level Republicans that did get charged. Oh, and of course, Kelly Ward. So we had that one. And then to go with it, we have news out of Michigan where a state investigator in court on Wednesday identified that Donald Trump, Mark Meadows, and Rudy Giuliani are unindicted co-conspirators in that case against fake electors as well. So I'd really like to see some of those unindicteds go away. I just want them to be co-conspirators, since they are co-conspirators. They should be co-defendants.
Every one of them?
How about co-defendant? Co-defendant sounds like the right thing, label. But it's just interesting. We got pieces of news out of two different states this week about, these fake elector cases. And in both of them, they're specifically like, yes, Donald Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator. Also, a bunch of the people that are indicted are very close to Donald Trump.
Of course.
Then we had a interesting one. The Gateway Pundit, one of the long-running fake news sites that has done a large amount of damage to this country and society in general, and really is just a garbage website run by a garbage excuse for a human being, has now had to declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy because of multiple defamation suits. And so that is nice to hear. Hopefully they are not able to reorganize. Hopefully this is the start of their problems and not the end,
Right.
the extent of them. And hopefully Jim and Joe Hoft just have a long run of bad things happen to them, because they will deserve them.
Indeed.
On the more side of covering stuff that we've talked about previously, so the UAW had been doing a union drive that we mentioned previously at the VW plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they had said that they had the votes, not just the votes, but enough votes that they could follow their whole strategy of going to the company like, so we have plenty of votes. Do you want us to force it to be a vote? And it turns out that Volkswagen said yes. And they went, okay, if that's how you want things to go. And I believe they said they got something around 70% of the plant to vote yes. So that was a very nice outcome there. Hooray. And that was, I believe, the first successful vote to unionize a auto plant in the South since like the 1940s. So, awesome. Go UAW and support unions. Definitely support unions. So that was some nice news. Then we had just a very funny story that I noticed. So Elizabeth Warren, one of our state senators here in Massachusetts, has now 2 Republican would-be challengers wanting to go after her. And one of them is a guy named Ian Kane. He's the one that just announced. And it's very funny because he's in a campaign video, he's talking about how, quote, not from that campaign video, I don't think, but he has criticized Warren, saying that she's working for herself instead of the people of Massachusetts. Now, why would he say that? Why would someone suggest that Elizabeth Warren is working for herself rather than the people of Massachusetts? Oh, he's the founder of a startup that's in a blockchain technology incubator. Huh. And then who's the other guy running against her? John Deaton, a cryptocurrency attorney. Gee, I wonder why these people are going against Elizabeth Warren. Is it maybe her opposition to cryptocurrency?
It could be. It could be.
Also, it's very funny that these people apparently think they have any chance of winning.
Yeah.
Because no, they don't. It's not happening. Who are they kidding? And then, they often like to talk about how, woke Hollywood is trying to push diversity or whatever their current talking word is. Snarl word. Yeah, DEI, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It will change in another 6 months at the most. It will. We know how this works. But they like to pretend like that's Hollywood pushing this on people and that, it's a ideological thing, et cetera, et cetera. But we just had this story come out of about Ryan Millsap, who moved to Atlanta from California about a decade ago and was a real estate investor who started investing in the movie industry in Georgia and his studio there was used for productions like Venom and stuff like that. So, he's this not like Hollywood big, but in terms of the Georgia film industry, he's a pretty big figure. And he's done a lot promoting diversity and working with Black leaders and Jewish colleagues and all these things like that. But it turns out he was actually very, very racist and anti-Semitic and was saying things like, quote, fucking Black people and nasty Jews. And
of course.
So, it turns out all of that pro-diversity stuff was actually, what do you know, him trying to make money and be successful. It's almost like the people claiming that this is this conspiracy against them are the ones actually, trying to sway the public through manipulation. And that, in fact, the public wants to see diverse things.
Yeah.
It's almost like this is just capitalism trying to seek out larger markets, which, fuck capitalism. It's trash. And, capitalists like this guy Millsap are also trash. But, maybe sometimes capitalism doesn't always do all of the wrong things. Sometimes it just does things that are neutral or even slightly good just for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
But yeah, just, next time you hear someone talking about, go woke, go broke, or whatever idiocy they're on about next time.
Yep.
Just remember this.
Indeed.
That's really all the major ones I had today. There was a funny thing about Donald Trump's lawyer in one of the cases getting embarrassed by the judge. It was the criminal case in New York, and the judge being like, "Really, that's what you're gonna try? No."
We can pull it back over to my screen. So I wanted to show this. I have retweeted this. Everyone else who can spread this around do. CEO Lawyer is this guy who runs a little law firm, but they are definitely in the ambulance chasing business. However, they're really good at getting big payouts for people who have been injured wrongly. And he's just offered his services of his firm and a bunch of other lawyers who he's working with for free to any of the protesters on these college campuses who gets killed or seriously injured by the police. So everyone should know of this and be contacting him if they have someone who has had, the cops come down on them. Free lawyers, yay. Very important. Mm-hmm. Stanford has gone up. So now Stanford's campus is up and running. Kurtaner has a new favorite sign from all the protests from about 10 minutes ago. I have to agree, this is a great sign. And I love just the person looking at it like with their head cocked sideways, like,
what am I looking at here? I don't know.
Is this, that's Stanford again. And then this is now a document going around that's really well written. I've also put this one out too. I've retweeted this one. PuckArcs put it out. But it's really well put together, very concise as to why are students protesting. And I love this. Getting a piece that's this easily readable, this easily scannable, has the draw right at the top. You're going to see it. You're going to know exactly what you're about to read. Gives all the salient points. Like, this is hard to do with any real talent. Like, this is actually a skill that people build. And I love this one. This is well done.
Yeah, it's solid.
So I think now we are, we're almost at 2 hours, 15 minutes. I think now is time to play some of the daily games. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
And she's going to come back over and join us for those. And we'll go out on that. While we're doing it, if anyone has anything else they want to talk about in the chat or want us to comment on, they definitely can. We are going to start and go through some of the dailies that we like to play.
Don't start with penis.
It's going to be penis one of these days, and it's going to be a miracle. Okay, so that's where the R goes.
Ringo.
No.
Hey, all those letters are valid.
True. Except for the position of
Okay.
the R.
I mean, right?
Oh.
That could have been it.
Oh. Yeah, that would.
Hmm.
The N goes at the end.
Yeah.
It does feel like that.
I just don't know what the word is, which doesn't help us any.
Hmm.
Oh, that's true. We did know the.
Oh,
E.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn the man.
Oh, it could be RT.
Mm.
That doesn't. There's no word with those ones. I keep wanting it to be irony, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
But like you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The O can be at the beginning or the end, and no one else. The I can be most places. The N can only be second or last.
Hmm.
Can you just do onions? You can see what
Do.
we can't really afford. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 2 O's and 2 N's also. Like,
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
that's it. There we go.
Thank you, chat.
Thank you. All right. We were definitely failing on that one.
Yeah. We were all struggling with that.
That's not Micronesia. Which one is that?
That is not Micronesia, no.
No.
What is that one?
Maybe
Um.
Polynesia?
eh,
Yeah, subs.
Nice. Thanks for the sub. We are 5,000 miles away from that.
Yeah. Looks like.
Or kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah. Kilometers.
Done correctly. Looks like something in like the Indonesia, Malaysia kind of, area.
Maybe Malaysia. Or
Well, what?
He said maybe Malaysia, which
I just don't see how that's Malaysia.
I don't think so either.
I'm trying to remember which.
But where does that
Logo
get
that
us?
is.
Nope.
No. Are we out in the Pacific
Oh, right.
again? 5,000 kilometers. That puts us
Oh,
in
yeah.
the Pacific again.
Huh.
Actually, that does look kind of like Micronesia. A little bit.
But Micronesia is a lot closer than 5,000 to Malaysia, right?
Wait, am I thinking of the wrong island chain?
So we're Micronesia. We're 2,000 down.
It's like the Christmas Islands or something stupid.
It's not the Cook because they're way over there, right?
Yeah, they are. That could be. They are way out there.
Yeah, no. Cook.
I don't know my South Pacific well enough.
Yeah, I just don't know this area well enough. Maybe the Solomon Islands.
Yeah, we were.
I was just guessing random islands at that point. I'm never getting the Solomon Islands. That's not going to be a thing I'm going to get. How about Tradle though?
Sorry, I didn't get it from the Solomon Islands.
4.4 billion with a lot of diamonds.
Generating sets. Fertilizers.
Let me zoom in a little.
Oh. Yeah, it's kind of important.
There we go.
Scrap iron.
Phosphatic fertilizers, polyacetals,
Apples and citrus.
scrap iron.
Brochure. Look at how much is brochures.
How is 1.3% of 4.4 billion brochures?
God damn.
Uh-huh.
Scrap
Okay.
copper? Scrap
Okay.
iron, raw lead.
What in the South Africa?
Yeah, that is what I'm going to type.
That seems low for their exports, though.
It's not right, but yeah.
Ooh.
Could it
Where do
maybe
you
be
have so many diamond mines that far north?
Georgia?
Yeah, it's got to be something like that, right?
Georgia does not have.
Russia has diamond mines. Georgia might. I'm
Yeah,
not.
but they don't have a 4 billion economy.
I'm just trying to get my bearings. I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Right below Turkey. Right below Turkey.
So it's like 600 kilometers
So
south of Turkey.
I just don't see Syria like this.
No,
Syria does not.
that does
I mean,
not seem correct.
is this actually Iraq? Like, it doesn't make
no,
any sense.
that can't possibly be the order of their exports.
No, it can't be. But like,
Yeah.
where's like,
Um,
what is right like below?
Island. The flag is the island. That's Cyprus?
Cyprus is way over that way.
yeah, Cyprus is to the west.
Okay.
A little.
We're looking right below Turkey there.
Like maybe they're not talking raw diamonds, maybe they're talking processed diamonds.
Even so, yeah, no, it's definitely something like on the Mediterranean still.
Like, I want to say Israel, but like, there's not enough like cyber and electronics in here. I mean, I guess there's like
Could it be Ethiopia?
No.
no, because it's only 571 from Turkey.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that way
yeah,
too close?
that would be farther.
Try.
I was just thinking across like the narrow strait.
It's above Israel. There's no way this is Lebanon. It's Lebanon.
What?
I
Huh.
did not. I just not.
Does Lebanon have that?
I
much
did
money?
not expect 4.4 billion in trade from Lebanon. Sorry
Yeah.
to all the Lebanese out there. If it had been 2 billion, I would have been thinking about Lebanon, but I was excluding it. Wow, okay. Look at that. Well,
We learned things today.
We did.
what movie is this? That's the guy from Workaholics.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. He's got a mustache. Nobody ever changes their facial hair.
That's the guy from
Not the guy
Workaholics.
from Workaholics.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
What do you mean? It's all the guys from Workaholics.
God damn it.
It's
Okay.
every one of them. How do you like what?
I don't know. Oh, the intern.
Intern. There we go. Yep. No, it had all the guys from Workaholics in the intern. Yeah.
Okay, to be clear though, that guy was not from Workaholics, and he was the one in that shot. This guy was not in that shot.
He was not in that shot. What are you talking about? That's a totally different dude.
That's a totally different dude. You said it was the guy from Workaholics.
Yes, it is. How do you not remember what these people look like?
I know what two of these people look like.
How do you not remember the third dude, the guy in the middle there? It's him.
That's not him.
That's him.
No.
Yeah, that's him. He was. I watched the movie. It's actually him. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
I don't know what to
I
do
accept your apology.
with you on that.
I accept your apology.
Ah, global. It's France.
France. It's Russia.
Is it Russia? It's not Russia.
It's not right.
Is it Canada? It's not
No.
Canada.
It's never
So is it Libya? Much closer. Chad?
closer.
Okay, Zimbabwe. Farther.
Central Africa.
Okay, Central African Republic.
What do you want?
It is warmer. Kenya's a little farther out.
Yeah, DRC was going to be my guess there.
DRC is there.
South African is still closer.
Benin's over there. Okay.
Regular Congo?
Yeah, that was going to be next because that's just to the west there.
It's closer.
Liberia?
Isn't that way
That
over
would
there?
be farther. Yeah.
I was
Where's Ghana? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think
like right
Ghana's
next
near
to
there.
Benin. Yeah.
Oh, right. I was thinking it was to the east, not the west.
And Mali's way up here, and Algeria's way over here. What? Mozambique's over here.
Yeah.
Okay, what's there?
I don't know. That's why that's what we're looking at right now.
I think that's
Hmm.
a tall order there. United States of Africa. That seems like no, it's in there. Oh, Cameroon.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. I meant that exactly.
Oh, come on.
Cameroon borders it, so it's this thing.
Oh. Oh.
What is that thing?
No, it doesn't have a weird enough shape. I knew the Cameroon shape because it's weird.
It's next to Congo and
Is that
Cameroon.
Equatorial Guinea? That's too far south.
Yeah, I think that's too far south.
What is that? I mean, in the end, we're supposed to be learning these things. If we have to go look this one up, we have to go look this one up.
It's not Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is over there.
Yeah,
Ivory
it's
Coast
farther
is over
north.
here, yeah.
Um,
We're going to go look this one up.
It's gonna make faces at it for a while longer.
We surrounded it. Gabon? It could actually, it is Equatorial
yeah.
Guinea, isn't it?
what?
Aha!
You were right.
Oh.
It could also be Gabon still. How do you spell it? I don't know. There we go. Yep, you were right.
Huh.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. I would have had to look up how to spell the thing anyways. All right, movie doll.
All right.
Okay, everyone.
Ready?
Keep your eyes on it. 1 second. Oh, that's one of the Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totoro.
I don't think it was Totoro.
I didn't see anything that gave it away as Totoro, but
No, that's the one I know.
sure.
Spirited Away.
Maybe?
No.
Just watch the next clip.
Why would I do that?
Because I've seen some of them.
Oh,
Indeed, so have I.
And also, chat may have seen some of them. Oh, I think that might be the Fireflies.
Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
what is it?
Grave of the Fireflies.
I have never heard of that.
Oh wow.
That is the
I only know Totoro from a meme.
that's
I've
the
never
Studio
seen any Ghibli movies.
equivalent of like Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very good, and you never watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that definitely was not Porco Rosso.
What movie is this?
I got nothing there.
What's the one with Brooke Shields that was like really controversial?
This is way too new for that. But Blue Lagoon. I mean, if it's Blue Lagoon, I just think this is way too good.
Oh,
But it's Inception.
okay. it's
Chat is good. Chat is good.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I can be
Fair.
wrong once. I'm allowed.
TV.
Once.
Hill Street Blues. I know that's wrong, but I'm still like, it has to be wrong, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's obviously 21 Jump Street.
Really?
I don't know.
I think it's in a different city.
I don't think. I actually think so. I barely remember those shows. They were terrible.
This is a TV series. I don't know this one. When They See Us.
Huh.
Okay.
Never heard that.
Have not seen that one. All right, we are going to do travel. Hungary to Hong Kong.
Oh.
And travel has called Hong Kong its own thing. Thank
Indeed.
you. I mean, obviously, I think China is involved.
Maybe.
It's a tiny bit involved.
A little bit.
Slightly involved.
Itty bit. You're going to do Russia just to jump through a bunch of this, right?
Probably.
Is it shortest path or fewest countries? I forget.
Shortest
Countries.
path, fewest countries? Yeah, it's fewest countries.
Okay.
So now we've got to go from
Yeah.
Hungary to Russia. What is the next one there? Because there are a million that get us over there, but
Ukraine and then Moldova.
I think so. I think it is Ukraine.
Ukraine, Moldova, and then maybe Romania.
Yeah, it's just Ukraine.
Oh,
Ukraine
oh
touches
right.
Hungary.
They do to border Hungary. I forgot about that.
We got there in
just that
3.
little section.
But also, I love these ones that have Hong Kong and Taiwan and all the others and do not give a fuck about, China's opinion on that. Okay, we are going to do Where Taken. Huh.
Sure is a desert. One of these days they got to do one that was taken on Mars. Like, just do it. Just one.
United
False color
Arab
image of the
Emirates.
moon.
Okay, it's not your
United States.
Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, no, you're somewhere Saharan.
Algeria. Morocco. Okay, so we are that way. What's over in that corner over there?
We always forget.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 things over there that we always
Yeah.
forget.
Tatooine is not it.
And that's Tunisia.
From Tunisia. Tunisia's the other way.
Yep.
Yes. What is over there?
Oh, what is it? That's
We're gonna do Ivory Coast anyways, just to
might be Mali.
no, because Mali is to the right and underneath of Algeria, not to the left of Algeria.
No, this is
Oh yeah.
And this is
there's
on the
something
coast.
south of Morocco, and I never.
Yeah, I'm
And Morocco's on
blanking
the coast too. And so this is like, look at those both pointing at that coastline.
Yeah, it's right.
The one that's like getting eaten by the other guy.
I always forget that one. Is that Liberia?
No, Liberia's
No, because that
farther
one's
south.
next to Ivory Coast down there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a Rhode Island shape,
Yeah.
but not really. Guess more rich.
Is that the one that's right across the section that like neither country wants? I forget who it is though.
You want to open up the map so we can go thematic?
No.
Okay. So we get to give up when you're giving up.
Yeah, totally.
Just wanted to be clear about that.
It's neither of those.
No.
It's not that. It's not that. It's not Liberia. It's not Benin. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely failing here. We are going to just go with Ghana for no reason. I mean, it's not it. Western Sahara.
It's the part that
Oh.
country wants is a region.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. We were right.
Bastards.
Write down the right answer, but we
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I had even made a reference to the region.
Connexo.
All right. Okay, there's too many locations. They're doing that on purpose.
Sony, yeah, Canon, Nikon, Fuji.
Right?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Not it.
Not it, but
Oh,
you know,
wow.
we tried.
Okay. All right. All right. Wrecking is there, which means that balls is the thing. We just have to figure out what the other balls are.
Cannonball.
Mm.
But the others don't work. Furball.
Furball. Cue ball.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Balls.
See?
Well, I'm starting to lose my voice.
Oh, yeah, I think homie's right on that. Flowers, jewelry, chocolates, champagne.
That's close. It's got to be close,
Oh,
right?
Wow. Huh.
Like
Yeah.
that right there, right?
And Fuji, right? No?
Why Fuji?
I don't know if it's the location.
And so is Champagne.
Champagne's what? Oh, right.
That's what I was going for.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Is Sigma a type of camera?
I don't know Sigma,
I haven't heard
but
it.
okay.
Yep. There you go.
Cool.
And things you
Flowers,
can
jewelry, chocolates, cards. Valentine's. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would not have put Sigma there. The word's been ruined lately.
Mm.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
What do we want to do? Mini crossword?
Flaw. Rouge.
What?
R-O. There you go. Not to be confused with rogue.
Indeed.
What? Zoom call effect for a distracting background?
That's some kind of blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roadside emergency marker?
Oh. Okay, the cheek makeup's wrong. Because that's a flare.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Blush. Yeah.
Yep. Fiber cross is blush. And that makes 1 down flare. And 5 down blur.
Yep.
Lunge. Oh, he's actually right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asked.
Mm-hmm.
Lanky.
Yep.
All them wise. Urges. And then read.
What?
R. For read.
Yes.
Not lead.
Let's do time guesser.
Okay. We're going to win this one. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
What do we got here?
Well, we've got a location.
We do.
And we've got a time frame.
Yeah.
Because this is 60s. This is
Yeah.
hard 60s.
Yeah.
What do you think? 63, 65?
I would say probably more like 65. But we have limited clues to narrow that down. So
I mean, those are very, baby JFK shorts, but we're in England, so 65
Yeah.
makes sense.
yeah, that's. I was like, that definitely looks like 60s, but I can't pin it distinctly down more than that.
All right. We're all calling 65 over here.
Okay, let's go 65.
64.
9,800 is a good score. Oh,
Yeah.
hey. Look, it's that guy.
Bienvenidos.
Indeed. Wonder where it is.
No,
I mean, it
him
could just
visiting
be the
somewhere?
obvious, but it feels like a setup, right?
I mean, look at their close in on the hats. They had an emblem on it that
That emblem that's really easy to make out. Yeah,
It feels like they.
the camera definitely is from an era. That's for fucking sure.
yeah.
See the reflection of the plane.
You got the rounded windows, which is right.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of like 61? Or do you want to push it later?
It just feels.
Where do you think he's visiting? Because like this isn't Cuba. He's visiting somewhere.
Yeah. Given that all the welcomes have
I
flags from a
I think
bunch
it's
of
Bolivia.
could be. And they have flags for. It's hard to tell what some of them are.
There's an airport.
What do we want to call the year here?
I mean,
Just leave it at 62 and say fuck it.
yes. Yeah. It wasn't Cuba.
So they're fucking with us. They're
Yeah.
doing the thing where they make us think it's somewhere else. Nice. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, well, we fell for it. That is a. I wouldn't have done that sculpture that way. I would have done that a different way, personally.
Well, that's why they don't invite you to make sculptures places.
Huh. OMBO something A. Colombia?
OMBO.
It looks like garage down in the back, which means that English is a commonly spoken language.
Is there something on that like section just below to the right, below the like next to the tree, or is that just
America with a K.
In America.
And that feels extremely German.
it does feel kind of German?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hypotheken.
Yeah.
Bakerish.
ISCHE. That's definitely a Germanic.
Yeah.
Which.
And that could be an and, but it also could be an und with the tree in the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
The clothes are all saying late 40s, but we could be anywhere up until late 50s if it's.
This looks way too built out to be a big city in Germany in the 40s.
Yeah. 1950s East Germany, maybe.
If we could go this area and like, we'll say 55.
Yeah,
I could go a little later.
potentially.
58.
It was German. It was the wrong part of Germany, but it was German.
Yep. Close enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I know those hats.
Herald Sun. Quay West.
IBM.
IBM.
Oh,
Huh.
Herald Sun is Calgary, isn't it?
It's a lot of lady cops, and one of them has a visible tattoo.
Yeah.
Trams. Yarrow Trams.
Yeah, I mean, this is extremely British.
It really is, but that also could mean Australia.
Yeah, I think there might be a Herald Sun paper in Australia.
Yeah, this feels
Um,
Australian to me.
Okay.
but
Does
can we?
Sydney have a Herald Sun?
Yeah,
Maybe. I think it might.
does. I'm pretty positive. This feels Australian to me.
I could
That's
do
plausible.
Sydney. I could do Sydney.
Let's go anywhere in Sydney. And this is pretty modern.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a cop on a official tablet or something.
Can you zoom in on the shoes actually? Yeah, that style shoe you're looking
No mask.
2018 at the earliest.
So
At the earliest, or you could do after 2020.
do we think it's 2023? I mean, it's a very good picture.
It's a good picture. It looks extremely modern.
It does look very modern.
Yeah, let's go 2023.
Okay, yep.
It was Australia.
Oh, that's Melbourne.
Melbourne, though. But I was close. This
And it was
just,
from this year.
there's a thing. That looks like Australia to me.
Yeah.
It was too bright to be London.
Yeah. Not nearly enough clouds visible.
I remember reading somebody saying, listening to Here Comes the Sun and then remembering that those fuckers are British. Like, probably the only time they've seen it.
Purely wishful thinking on their part.
Just hits different. Okay. Many hats.
Yeah.
Many hats.
Lots of hats.
Lots of blankets. One dude in sunglasses, which feel anachronistic.
Notre Dame.
Is that what?
That hat and the ND.
Oh, yeah. I see that in ND now. That definitely does track.
When was the Rudy game?
No idea. Oh, apparently it was 68. You think it's the Rudy game?
I think so. I think that's why they would do it.
Okay. I can see this one 68. I can give you this one.
Where the fuck is Notre Dame?
I mean, I don't know.
Idaho?
Why would it be in Idaho?
It's somewhere weird and farther west than you'd probably think.
I thought it was like in Indiana or Illinois.
I don't know where anything is.
Maybe it's Indiana.
Yeah, South Bend. There it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
I really thought it was in Indiana.
Okay. You got it.
Okay, University of Notre Dame.
Chat said 1968, but then said it was based off of the glasses. I guess. Are you looking for the football field?
Yeah. It says Alumni Stadium, but I doubt that.
It probably is the Alumni Stadium. They'll just keep,
There it is.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And I have no idea when that Rudy game was. I do know that Joe Montana was the starting quarterback in his last year. And he was the best quarterback in the league in the early 80s. So that's gotta be...
You think mid-70s then?
Yeah, but this does not feel like 70s,
No,
so maybe it's not the
really.
Rudy game. But it does feel like this guy right here feels like 60s.
Yeah.
Late.
I
That
really
hair
think
on the lady in
68
front.
sounds right.
Okay, let's do it.
65? And where were we? It was,
It was North Dakota State, wasn't even Notre Dame.
the ND was North Dakota State.
Wow, that guy
How
has...
are you gonna get that?
No, I don't understand how they expected anyone to get that one. But okay. Not the worst.
We've done worse. Yay! The best game. Microsoft goggles. Dropper.
Beaker.
Oh, Beaker's there too? Oh yeah, you've got Beaker already.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Heart, center, nucleus, hub.
Yeah.
Heart, center, nucleus, hub.
There it is.
Excel sheet sort formula.
Yeah. Spreadsheet stuff.
Yep. Language.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
0 mistakes.
Yay. We played games.
We were good at games because we're nerds.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. This was a long one, almost 3 hours, chat. Some of the tools I use actually have a 3-hour limit on video, so it's perfect that we're ending now because this will be the right amount of time for me to import into everything. Indeed. So yeah, I've still got a lot of time to do tomorrow, and then this weekend's off limits, but maybe early next week. I want to do that programming stream, and so I want to try and fit that in early next week. So we'll see if we can fit that in. It is time to end the stream, though. So good night, everybody. We are all yawning. We are all tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to hit the ending button. Maybe.